Hello, guys, welcome to our session. We have started a little late today, but the ending time would be 3. Don't worry. Let me have a look on the comment section. But first of all, let me welcome Reem ma'am. Thank you, Reem ma'am, for joining.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yes. Okay, guys. So let's have a look on the comment section. Oh, people have already joined and इतने सारे comments है. चलो पढ़ते हैं. Yes, welcome all of you. Happy Sunday. Yeah, give me 1 minute. ये कैमरा बहुत गंदा. Yes. So, where was I? I was like looking on the comment section. I have some amount on demo account. Demo, how can I use it to trade? डेमो अकाउंट में अगर पैसे है तो आप ट्रेड के लिए कैसे यूज कर सकते हैं? री मैम आपको कुछ इन्फॉर्मेशन है इसके रिगार्डिंग?
इसके रिगार्डिंग
डेमो अकाउंट में मनी है तो
हम्म
उन्हें अभी ट्रेड के लिए वही मनी यूज करना है, वो कैसे कर सकते हैं?
डेमो में ही कर पाएंगे वो सिर्फ रियल अकाउंट में
ओके.
नहीं कर पाएंगे। डेमो अकाउंट का मनी आप लोग ट्रांसफर नहीं कर पाते हो। वो रियल मनी नहीं होता है, दैट इज द रीजन। अगर आप
ओ,
डेमो में कर रहे हो तो फिर डेमो में ही रहेगा वो अमाउंट, ठीक है, वो रियल में नहीं आ जाएगा। ओके गाइस।
ठीक है. थैंक यू री मैम. आप वो मनी यूज़ नहीं कर सकते. इट्स ऑलरेडी इन द डेमो अकाउंट. वो डेमो मनी होता है, रियल मनी नहीं होता. ठीक है? मैम ने आपको डिपॉज़िट बैनर भेज दिया है गाइस. आप डिपॉज़िट करके अपना अकाउंट ओपन कर सकते हैं मेरे साथ एंड डिपॉज़िट करेंगे तो आपको मिलेंगे फ़ायदे, कैशबैक कूपन्स, बीडीसी कॉइन्स और आपको मिलेगा ट्रेड असिस्टेंस जो कि मेरे ग्रुप पे मैं आपसे बात कर सकती हूँ एंड दूसरी बात आपको मिलेंगे रिडीम कूपन गिफ्ट पैक जो आप रिडीम करके अपने अमाउंट को बढ़ा सकते हैं अपने अकाउंट पे, बीटीसी दाना पे. ओके? एंड दोज हु आर न्यू, आज मैं सारे वही क्वेरीज दूंगी जो लोग न्यू है. लाइक एवरी टाइम व्हेन आई यूज दिस लाइव, व्हेन आई डू दिस लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग, ऐसा होता है कि मोस्टली जो होता है, हाँ, मोस्टली जो होता है कि बहुत सारे लोग जो है वो यही सोचते हैं कि मैम हम स्टार्ट कैसे करें. बट आई रियली वांट टू से दैट कि अभी हम जो है वो ऑलरेडी स्टार्ट कर चुके हैं. हमने सारे लेक्चर्स कंप्लीट कर चुके हैं. हमने जितनी भी वीडियो लेक्चर्स थे वो भी हमने कर लिए हैं. Now the main point is that, like, before my session gets over for this week and the next week will be the last week for me. Okay? तो अभी मैं आपको बस ये बताना चाहती हूँ, मैंने कल कहा था मैं पीपीटी वगैरह आपके साथ शेयर करूँगी, ठीक है? पर पर्टिकुलरली मैंने ऐसा देखा कि मैं पीपीटी में भी कितना भी कुछ बना लूँगी, आप लोगों की क्वेरीज़ हर दिन डिफरेंट हो सकता है. लाइक एवरी टाइम व्हेन यू सी कि कुछ ना कुछ आपकी क्वेरीज़ आते हैं. फॉर एग्ज़ाम्पल, हाउ वी कैन ट्रेड, बुलिश है या बियरिश है. तो ये मैं हर दिन के लिए वो पीपीटी नहीं होगा, राइट? इट्स गोइंग टू बी अ मैनुअल फॉर यू हाउ टू यू कैन यूज़ द बीटीसी दाना ऐप. But particularly what I suggest is that when you guys are ready for doing the trade and when you feel that it's a right time to for us to start trading, then it would be beneficial step for you is to understand the market first. Like you also know that before going on a expert or intermediate level, you have to like start depositing on BTC and Ethereum, the two of the most digital cryptocurrency that is really important. And I think that it would be very easy for you to understand BTC and Ethereum. Dono currencies are very easy to understand. They're very easy to invest. They don't give you a long term or dangerous like a kind of side effect or a loss, I could say, but it would give you a stability over the period of time if you keep on holding it for a longer period. Secondly, I want to tell all of you, those who are just a new joiner or who think that this is going to be a live streaming and they feel that I'm going to provide them a trade signal, this is not going to be the case here. I would definitely mind if you all are participate with me and learning and giving me the trade prediction. Trade prediction is very important because when you predict something, you have to be sure about it. You have to have some examples that support your argument. And if you guys feel that I am a person who actually gives you a real or correct trade prediction, and you are following my advice, and you see that there are the times when I actually predicted right, it was not like something that I have predicted just on basis of my assumption. It's not like that. It was particularly for you guys to understand this, कि मैंने जब आपको ट्रेड के सिग्नल्स दिए, it was always correct, right? When I said that some digital coin is going on upward trend, I would say it directly on your face, and I would directly say, and you will going to follow the advice, right? Many people actually agree with me when BS Rajputs are like those who are being a trader, and those who have experience in the like few years of using this app, they also supported my argument, they also supported my prediction. So what I feel is that whenever you feel that something is not correct, or when you have doubts about something, or the doubts about which coin is better to invest as compared to that coin, or the pairs that you are asking, so you would actually ask me on the comment section. You would please initiate that interest, that you are really really wanted to be a trader, you want to start trading. So I generally urge every one of you to please understand this, that it's not a one side of session, it's not one sided session, that I am just continuously speaking and teaching and you are not reverting me back. तो आप लोगों को भी उतना देना पड़ेगा, यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड कि ये मेरा लास्ट वीक है, एंड जितना मुझसे हो सकता है आई वुड डेफिनेटली वांट टू हेल्प यू। ठीक है, तो आज हम सारे क्वेरीज लेंगे, जितने भी लोग हैं, जो लोग स्टार्टिंग कर रहे हैं, जो लोग स्टार्ट कर रहे हैं, जिनके अलग अलग टाइप के डाउट्स हैं। कैसे डाउट्स है? मैम रिकवर से कैसे लॉस से कैसे रिकवर करें, कितने अमाउंट से स्टार्ट करें, कितना अमाउंट हमारा वेस्ट हो जाता है, तो हम वापस से कैसे मोटिवेशन लाके स्टार्ट करें। दीज आर द क्वेश्चन जो हर एक इंसान के दिमाग में आ जाता है, राइट? सो यू हैव टू लाइक स्टार्ट आस्किंग योर क्वेश्चंस टू मी, एंड मैं आपको सारे के सारे आंसर्स देने के लिए रेडी हूँ। ठीक है, मैं न्यूज़ इसलिए आपको बताती हूँ कि मैं चाहती हूँ हम न्यूज़ भी पढ़ें। न्यूज़ पढ़ेंगे तभी तो पता चलेगा कि प्रेडिक्शन क्या करना है। अगर आप न्यूज़ ही नहीं पढ़ेंगे तो हाउ वुड आई टेल यू कि अब ये हो सकता है, कल ये हो सकता है, परसों ये हो सकता है। नो, policies are also depend upon the news. Policies that has been made in different countries, they depend upon the external forces. What are external forces? What's happening in the environment, what's happening in the market. So news is very important when it comes to you for your crypto trading part. And really मैं चाहती हूँ कि आप लोग इज मेक अ हैबिट ऑफ रीडिंग द न्यूज़, नॉट विद लाइक रीडिंग पर्टिकुलरली अबाउट द डिजिटल कॉइन, बट रीडिंग अबाउट एवरी एस्पेक्ट ऑफ द फाइनेंशियल मार्केट। आपको पता होना चाहिए कि आज कितना रेट है, कल कितना होने वाला है। एनी इन्फॉर्मेशन दैट यू गेट, यू हैव टू पोस्ट हियर, और यू पोस्ट ऑन योर कमेंट आर ग्रुप, मेरे ग्रुप पे पोस्ट कर सकते हैं। सो इट वुड गिव यू लाइक अ सेंस ऑफ सिक्योरिटी कि येस, हमको ये पता चल गया, सारे लोगों को इससे हेल्प हो जाएगी, राइट? तो समझे आप लोग? अभी मैं आपको शेयर करती हूँ न्यूज़, ठीक है? अब न्यूज़ पढ़ेंगे आज। न्यूज़ पढ़ेंगे तभी हम डिस्कस करेंगे, ओके? विदाउट न्यूज़ आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू टेक दिस सेशन फॉरवर्ड। मुझे सब पता करना है आज क्या चल रहा है मार्केट में। एवरीथिंग हैज़ टू बी कंप्लीटेड, राइट? ठीक है, चलो। Inside Zcash news, or what is a Zcash? What this says कि inside Zcash news mode that targets Visa skill privacy at 50,000 transaction per second. क्या मतलब है इसका? मुझे नहीं पता। I am a newcomer. Please tell me. Please explain this news to me. What does this mean? मुझे बताइए। कौन बताएगा मुझे? आई नो इंग्लिश हार्ड होती है, बट यू हैव एआई, यू हैव एआई, यू कैन यूज दिस। आप एआई में इसको कॉपी करेंगे, पेस्ट करेंगे, इजी लैंग्वेज में उसको प्रॉम्प्ट करिए। बी अ गुड प्रॉम्प्टर। व्हेन यू बी अ गुड प्रॉम्प्टर, एआई वुड बी अ बेनिफिशियली लाइक गोइंग टू बी हेल्पफुल फॉर यू। ठीक है, प्रॉम्प्ट करे कि समझिए कि यू हैव टू ट्रेन हिम बिकॉज इट्स अ रोबो, राइट? तो आपको उसको हिसाब से करना पड़ेगा ट्रेन। तो आपको ये कॉपी करना है, पेस्ट करना है, हिंदी में ट्रांसलेट करवाना है, या आपको इजी लैंग्वेज जो भी आपकी उस पर ट्रांसलेट करा के आप पूछे व्हाट दिस मीन इनसाइड दैट कैश नोट्स दैट टारगेट्स वीजा स्केल, ये सब पूछिए। ठीक है, मैं आपको 5 मिनट्स का टाइम दे रही हूँ, प्लीज आस्क। एंड मुझे इसका आंसर चाहिए, कोई तो एटलीस्ट कमेंट करे, कोई तो एटलीस्ट इंटरेस्टेड रहे दिस न्यूज में, एंड वी विल दे विल बी गोइंग टू गेट द कैशबैक कूपन्स, गिफ्ट कूपन्स, ओके। मैं लिख देती हूँ। प्लीज एक्सप्लेन दिस हेडलाइन टू मी, नॉट न्यूज, हेडलाइन। Giving it your time starts now. सो आई कैन सी दैट कोई मुझे ऑप्शंस में नहीं दिख रहा है कि समवन इज। हेलो। नो, इट्स नॉट अ फॉरेक्स ट्रेडिंग, इट्स अ क्रिप्टो ट्रेडिंग। आर्यन सर, आई विल गिव यू ट्रेड, जस्ट वेट फॉर सम टाइम। मैं न्यूज़ के बारे में बात कर रही हूँ, आपको देती हूँ मैं न्यूज़। आप लोग क्या है ना, बहुत जल्दबाजी करते हैं कि जल्दी से हमें ट्रेड चाहिए मैम, ट्रेड बताओ, ख़त्म, हम जाते हैं, लीव करते हैं सेशन। 2 मिनट रुक जाइए, सबको समझने दीजिए, ओके। गिव मी वन। सो आई वॉन्ट टू से कि जितने भी आपको लगता है ना क्रिप्टो ट्रेड है, तो इट्स ऑल रिलेटेड टू क्रिप्टो, ठीक है। तो अभी सारे क्रिप्टो की ट्रेडिंग है, दिस इज अ क्रिप्टो ट्रेडिंग। एंड सर आर्यन पांडे से गिव मी सम मिनट, तो मैं थोड़ा सा आपको बता देती हूँ कि जेड कैश क्या है, क्योंकि बहुत सारे लोग जेड कैश में इन्वेस्ट करते हैं। Zcash is upgrading its network with a new system called Jakura. Zcash अपना सिस्टम अपडेट कर रहा है, उसका नाम है Zakura, aiming to process over 50,000 private transactions per second TPS to match the speed of global payment networks like Visa and Mastercard. Zcash जो है वो अपना जो सिस्टम है वो अपडेट कर रहा है, मतलब वो एक नया सिस्टम लॉन्च कर रहा है जिसको कहते हैं ज़कूरा। तो अब क्या होगा कि जो लोग भी ज़ेड कैश में इन्वेस्ट करेंगे उनके ट्रांजैक्शन जो है 50,000 ट्रांजैक्शन के 50,000 ट्रांजैक्शन पर सेकंड में आपकी कंप्लीट हो जाएंगे ज़ेड कैश के थ्रू, मतलब 50,000 ट्रांजैक्शन एक सेकंड में कंप्लीट। कभी आपने देखा है ऐसे ट्रांजैक्शन अभी हम सेंड करते यूपीआई आईडी में होता है, राइट? तो वैसे जेड कैश में होगा। टू मैच द स्पीड ऑफ ग्लोबल पेमेंट नेटवर्क्स वीजा और मास्टर कार्ड की पेमेंट स्पीड को मैच करने के लिए जेड कैश इज नाउ व्हाट इट्स डूइंग, इट्स अपग्रेडिंग। Currently, Zcash advanced privacy features are slow and computationally heavy. Like it's very slow now. There's actually a slow service that Cash is providing you. Compute के हिसाब से it's already on a heavy side where I have to complete a lot of the like calculation. The new upgrade changes how the blockchain handles data to solve these speed bottlenecks without sacrificing the user privacy. Okay? To keep the transaction complete private, Zcash uses zero knowledge proofs. What Zcash use? Zero knowledge proof. These proofs acts like a mathematical certificate proving a transaction is valid without revealing who sent it, who received it, or how much was sent. Zcash is actually working on a privacy model because whenever those who are actually doing the transactions, Zcash wanted to preserve that. So what it's doing is these are the proof, the certificates is that providing a security over the transaction that says it's a valid without revealing who have sent it, how much sent it, and who have received it. So Zcash is working on that. These digital certificates are massive. If Zcash tries to process 50,000 transactions per second today, a network node would have download roughly. You have to understand that Zcash is now working on something that the network can be downloaded roughly and 50,000 transactions per second can be done easily. Okay, that the network node would have download roughly near around 500 megabytes of data every single second. Like what, how much amount of data bytes the Zcash would be taking or preserving for this? 500 megabytes. 500 megabytes. Okay, of data every single second. The equivalent of downloading a full movie per few seconds. Like अगर आप पूरी मूवी डाउनलोड करना चाहते हैं, पूरी मूवी 3 घंटे की मूवी एक सेकंड में डाउनलोड हो जाएगी, इतना 500 मेगाबाइट्स का जेड कैश ट्रांजेक्शन अपना नेटवर्क बना रहा है। ठीक है, नो स्टैंडर्ड कंप्यूटर कैन हैंडल द बैंडविथ। कोई भी कंप्यूटर, नॉर्मली मेरा लैपटॉप भी इतना मेगाबाइट्स नहीं हैंडल कर पाएगा जितना जेड कैश इज नाउ डेवलपिंग इटसेल्फ। Zakura इसका नया नाम है Zakura Full Node. This is a newly released, highly optimized network software. It uses the pruning to safely delete the old video and old transaction, unnecessary blockchain data. So they are deleting what? Unnecessary blockchain data. They are deleting the old news. This reduces the data footprint so dramatically that a new node can set up and run in 2 minutes. तो उसके वजह से क्या होगा? When no old transactions or the old blockchain data have been deleted, new transactions and new node of the network and new transaction can be easily started to work or run within a 2 minutes. ठीक है? So this is all related to this news. Zcash, okay, Zakura. Bottlenecks is also given. Fast block propagation is also given. How Ironwood came into the existence. Ironwood exists because of a flaw that nearly broke Zcash in zone. So the so-called shielded pools are the private side of network where amounts and participants are hidden and zero knowledge proof stands in the evidence of the math work. Okay? आयरन वुड क्या होता है? अब आयरन वुड के बारे में मैं आपको बताऊंगी अगर आप इंटरेस्टेड हो तो। ठीक है? So this was all related to Zcash. Okay? Any other questions, queries? चार न्यूज है। सबसे पहले मैं आपको बता देती हूँ हेडलाइंस में। सो टुडेज हेडलाइन फॉर क्रिप्टो। France order countries' internet service providers to block Polymarket. France orders countries' internet service providers to block Polymarket. Crypto executive says digital native generation like you people may never need a bank account because every transactions can be completed like a UPI, like a instant payment service that Zcash is also developing. It's called a network. Okay. DOG node explains Bitcoin's next governance fight. Trump targets Brazil payment system while dollar stable coins are quietly overtaking countries' payment. Here is why massive $1.6 billion in crypto liquidity is still sitting idle and wasting away. Massive Bitcoin calls spread targets $72,000 by month and right when the Fed meets need. Tokenization has become a strategic priority for 83 मैडम जी ब्लैकबेरी का फोन देख लो.
क्या हुआ? सॉरी।
ये सात वो सर कह रहे हैं री मैडम जी
हाँ।
ब्लैकबेरी का फोन देख लो.
ओह नाइस। थैंक यू, अच्छा है। ये लेना
ब्लैकबेरी
है?
अभी मिलता है.
पता नहीं यार।
ओके. ठीक है. Tokenization has become a strategic priority for 84% of the financial firm. Tokenization क्या होता है? Tokenization मतलब आपको जो tokens मिलते हैं when you do a transaction, that's called a token. So tokenization has become a strategic priority for 84% of the financial firms. Polymarket traders cut clarity. Polymarket traders cut clarity at passage odds to record low as Senate delay drags on. Polymarket क्या होता है? I want to know polymarket क्या होता है? मैं आपको बताती हूँ. Cardano hands core development to outside teams in decentralized push. Stripe and Swift race to control the next generation of global payment infrastructure. Stripe and Swift race to control the next generation of global payment infrastructure. It's called a idiom. It's a idiom. Stripe and Swift. तो उसका मतलब होता है एक idiom होता है that's represent that people are actually wanted to control the next generation like you guys that you are doing actively trading. So global generation payments infrastructure. They wanted to control the payment infrastructure. That's why they are doing that. Cardano hands core. Cardano is also called like a decentralized coin. I think I have heard about it. Input output will control. Yes, it's a like Hydra company and Cardano developer input output will begin handling the control of keychain blockchain. ओके. तो ये इस चीज़ के बारे में तो आपको 10 इन्फॉर्मेशन दे दी है. अब मैं आपसे पूछना चाहती हूँ कि हमने अभी ये एक चीज़ यहाँ पे थी कहाँ गई वो पॉली मार्केट्स के बारे में क्या होता है पॉली मार्केट्स के बारे में. गाइस डिपॉजिट कीजिए बैनर से. आप सेशन में आ रहे हैं. ठीक है. प्लीज मेक अ डिपॉजिट एंड ओपन योर अकाउंट. World largest decentralized prediction market firm where user trade shares on future outcomes of real events such as political elections, economic indicator and sports result. ठीक है. Instead of betting against a traditional bookmaker, trade peer to peer on binary yes or no example. If, for example, if yes, share trades. अगर एक आदमी कहता है that this is a trade you have to trade at $0.60. The market implies 60% of the chances will happen for the trade to buy or to sell. ठीक है. If event अगर the yes shares resolve to $1, yielding a profit for the buyers, while no share expire worthless. एक चीज है जैसे कि ट्रांजेक्शन वाइज मैं आपको बताती हूँ. Polymarket is a website where you can bet money on real world events. For example, think it like a stock market, but instead of buying a share of Apple or Google, you buy a share of things happening in the news. For example, yes, जैसे कि अब पॉली मार्केट में आप बस प्रिडिक्ट करते हो आप बेट करते हो कि रियल वर्ल्ड इवेंट्स पे आप बेट करते हो दैट इज कॉल्ड पॉली मार्केट. यस और नो. अभी कैसा होता है एवरी बेट इज अ सिंपल क्वेश्चन. कोई भी बेट करना है सिंपल क्वेश्चन से. विल इट रेन इन द न्यूयॉर्क ऑन क्रिसमस. एक नॉर्मल क्वेश्चन है. आपसे पूछती हूँ क्या पुणे में बारिश होगी हाँ या ना. तो फिर आप लोग अगर बाइंग शेयर यू बाय यस शेयर्स और नो शेयर्स. आपको यस और नो शेयर्स में बाय करना होता है. इट्स कॉल्ड पॉली मार्केट. मतलब आपने बोला हाँ होगी तो आप लोग यस शेयर्स को बाय करेंगे. अब कुछ बोलेंगे नो तो आप नो शेयर्स को बाय करेंगे. शेयर कॉस्ट एनीवेयर फ्रॉम 1 सेंट टू 99 सेंट्स। शेयर का कॉस्ट क्या होता है, 1 सेंट से 99 सेंट्स तक। द प्राइस इज द गेस, इफ अ येस शेयर कॉस्ट 60 सेंट्स, अगर पूरे खरीदने के लोगों ने 60 सेंट्स खरीद लिया येस वाले ने, इट मीन्स द मार्केट थिंक दैट 60% चांसेस विल हैपन। मतलब कि अगर आप लोगों में से किसी ने 60% ऑफ द चांस खरीद लिया, 60% ऑफ द, आपने यस वाले शेयर्स खरीद लिए, एंड विद यू आर सेइंग दैट यस 60% ऑफ द चांसेस कि बारिश होगी पुणे में, ठीक है, तो फिर मेजोरिटी क्या कहती है, 60% हाँ होगी। इफ यू गेस द राइट, अगर आपकी टीम ने राइटली गेस किया है, योर शेयर बिकम्स $1। आपने कितने में खरीदा था, 60 सेंट, आपका $1 बन जाता है। इफ यू गेस रॉन्ग, योर शेयर्स बिकम $0। अगर आपने 60 सेंट्स किया है, देखिए 0.6 में, तो अगर आपने यस बोला और आपकी चीज़ हो गई, तो फिर आपको मिलते हैं $1। अगर आपने नो साइन किया था और नहीं बारिश हुई और आपका गलत हो गया प्रिडिक्शन, तो आपको $0 मिलेंगे। You don't have to wait until the event ends. You can sell your shares at any time to take your profit or stop losing. You don't have to wait for it. You can sell your shares and take your profit. These are called poly markets. Okay. What people bet on politics, poly market में what people bet on usually? Who will win the next presidential election? कौन जीतेगा president election? Who will win an Oscar, और किसे ऑस्कर मिलेगा? Which celebrity couple will break up? Whether gas prices will go up or down? So these are the things that poly market does. Many people use poly markets just to see the crowd. Things will happen because people are risking real money. It's not something that demo account or demo money nahi hota. It's actually a real money. Because people are risking the real money, the prices on the poly markets are often more accurate than new posts on expert predicting the future, because they are investing on a real, जैसे मैं prediction करती हूँ. This becomes serious when I actually put my amount on that. So I will predict yes. I will predict yes because I want to be sure about my prediction, because मेरे पैसे डूब जाएंगे. So these are all the poly markets, and अभी मैंने इसकी information दी थी ना. Poly market traders cut clarity act passage also record low as Senate delay drags on. एक ऐसा prediction wrong हो गया है. That's why they are cutting the issue. For example, the order of the clarity act becoming law in this clarity act एक था, उसके ऊपर poly market ने अपना bet किया था. This year have fallen to the lowest level ever on crypto prediction market. Poly market में prediction जो है crypto, it actually become like being a wrong, reflecting growing skepticism that Congress will handle the landmark crypto market structure legislation before the end of the 2025 has become wrong. The assumption has been wrong. The prediction has become wrong. It failed. As of Friday, traders gave the 32% of the chance of passing by 31 December 2026, down roughly 30% points from when the market launched on Jan. The odds climbed as high as 82% on the Feb 19, but has steadily declined since early May as Signet legislative calendar has narrowed and questions have mounted over the whether the lawmakers can assemble the bipartisan support needed to advance the bill. The decline became despite continued negotiation behind the scene. Earlier this month, lawmakers were working on the updated legislative text that was expected to release the following week, though it had yet been Democratic backing. President Donald Trump was waiting to meet the. Okay. So ये सारी की सारी चीजें.
BS राजपूत सर कह रहे हैं दैट मैडम जी अब हम क्या देखें सिल्वर में 22/32/32/44 या फिर 100 की की हो जाएगी, पुणे में बाढ़ आएगी, हमें तो ऐसा लग रहा है।
से सिल्वर का मैं आपको प्रिडिक्शन देती हूँ.
पुणे में बाढ़ आने वाली है क्या? बारिश
पुणे में
ज्यादा है?
बहुत बारिश है. पहले तो हो चुकी है एक बार ऐसे रेड अलर्ट, और बहुत बारिश भी था. एंड पुणे में बहुत पानी इकट्ठा हो गया था, जिसकी वजह से रेड अलर्ट से सब बंद हो गया था. पुणे वॉज लॉक्ड, लाइक लॉकडाउन हो गया था 4 दिन का. अभी
अच्छा।
वापस से बारिश शुरू हुई है. एंड अभी पता नहीं क्या होगा, शायद वापस से बारिश इतनी ज्यादा होगी कि फिर से बंद हो जाएगा सब कुछ.
रियली मतलब इधर हमारे इधर तो थोड़ी सी भी बारिश नहीं है, मतलब एक एक
नहीं.
परसेंट कहते हैं ना, 1% भी बारिश नहीं है।
बाप रे.
और इतनी
यहाँ पे
गर्मी है, उफ, बस पूछो मत।
पुणे में ऐसा हो रहा है, जिस टाइम बारिश हो रही थी, और मुझे याद है लास्ट टू लास्ट वीक का 2 हफ्ते पहले इतनी बारिश थी कि सब बंद हो गया था. सब, कोई ऑर्डर्स नहीं आ रहे थे, कहीं हम जा नहीं पा रहे थे, कोई दुकान भी वो ओपन नहीं थी.
BS राजपूत सर आप भी पुणे से हैं क्या?
पुणे में सारी बारिश
आता
पुणे में
पुणे
आती है।
पाऊस जास्त नाही। क्या मतलब?
क्या 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 बोला?
आता पुण्यात पाऊस जास्त नाही, मेरे को ये वाली लैंग्वेज में।
वो बोलने चाहते कि पुणे में शायद बारिश ज्यादा आ रही है, या जास्त ये थे, या आएगी, ऐसा बोल रहे हैं। गाइस पुणे में बहुत बारिश, सारी बारिश पुणे में ही आती है। चलो ठीक है भैया, 4 बजे मैं आपका प्रिडिक्शन 1 बजे करूंगी। ओके, अभी मैं थोड़ा सा वीडियो लगा रही हूँ आप लोग के लिए, वीडियो देखें। मेरे को और कोई हमारे पास और कोई एक्सेस नहीं है कि मैं आपको दूसरे वेबसाइट का वीडियो दिखाऊं, क्योंकि वो कॉपीराइट इश्यूज हो जाते हैं। मैं आपको यूडेमी का ही दिखाऊंगी, ठीक है? डोंट माइंड इट, मैंने कल कहा था, बट आई थिंक दैट देयर इज द ओनली वे आउट हियर टू शोइंग यू द वीडियोज, बिकॉज आई डोंट हैव एनी अदर ऑप्शंस। मैडम जी अब हम क्या देखें, सिल्वर? हाँ सर, मैं आपको बता दूंगी, डोंट वरी। मैं आपको डमीज के हिसाब से डे ट्रेडिंग बताती हूँ, आपको ट्रेड कैसे करना है, ठीक है?
हेलो धनालाल सर, हेलो हेलो जी, हेलो। कैसे हैं सर आप? मैं हूँ यहीं पर। एक्चुअली आई जस्ट डू एनीथिंग, मैं और भी कुछ कर रही थी, बट हाँ जी बताइए। कैसे हैं सर आप? आज पुणे में बारिश ज्यादा नहीं है, सतीश सर कह रहे हैं आज पुणे में बारिश ज्यादा नहीं है। अच्छा, नहीं ये तो अच्छी बात है यार, इतनी वो हो गई है तो।
हमारे एरिया में होती है।
चलिए कोई बात नहीं मैम, आप ज्यादा फूल फूल रही हैं।
हमारे एरिया में सीधा पानी बाढ़ आ जाती है। ठीक है गाइस, मैं आपको डमी के हिसाब से थोड़ा चीज दिखाना चाहती हूँ, प्लीज इसको एक बार देख लीजिए। कैंडलस्टिक पैटर्न का एनालिसिस बहुत इजी वर्ड्स में करा है, 4 मिनट का वीडियो, लेंदी भी नहीं है। फिर सपोर्ट रेजिस्टेंस के बारे में, मार्केट ट्रेंड्स और चार्ट इंडिकेटर, ये 4 वीडियोस देखते हैं। फिर हम प्रिडिक्शन करेंगे, सारे प्रिडिक्शन मैं आज ही कर दूंगी लाइन से। सिल्वर का, गोल्ड का, सोलाना, इथेरियम, बीटीसी, जो भी आपको करवाना है, जेड कैश, आई विल डू एवरी प्रिडिक्शन टुडे। क्योंकि कल जो है मार्केट आपका स्टार्ट हो जाएगा, मैं कल रहूंगी नहीं, तो मैं आज सारी प्रोडिक्शन कर लूंगी। कल हमने गाने नहीं प्ले किए थे, तो आज गाने भी प्ले होंगे।
आई एम
ओके,
ओके। ओके धनालाल सर, कम आते हैं यार आप लाइव में, ऐसे क्यों?
संडे होता है ना।
अच्छा वीकेंड एंजॉय कर नहीं अच्छी बात
संडे
है
वैसे
जी।
भी कम लोग ही आते हैं, बिकॉज संडे इज फॉर रिलैक्सिंग।
नो आई एग्री।
आई होप
वीकेंड में तो सबको ऐसा होता है ना।
मेरा पहले लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग वाज लाइक असाइन टू 11:30 to 1, बट फिर मैंने वो आई डिनाइड इट, देन फिर मेरा सैटरडे संडे हो गया।
उस टाइम तो रहते होंगे।
हाँ, तो लेट नाइट को आई वुड नॉट लाइक एबल टू वर्क ना इतना लेट।
और
चलो, तो हम कर लेते हैं ये सारी की सारी चीजें, आप लोग देख लीजिए एक बार। फिर हम बहुत इजी वर्ड्स में बताया, ये बहुत बहुत इजी वर्ड्स में एकदम डमी के साथ बताया, डमी दिखाएंगे आपको कैंडलस्टिक पैटर्न के बारे में। और इंग्लिश से डरिए मत, समझने की कोशिश कीजिए। आपको जो नहीं आ रहा है मुझसे पूछिए, मैं आपको बताऊंगी, ठीक है?
Moving on to candlestick analysis. Candlesticks are essentially the foundation of our charts and our technical analysis. Candlesticks are going to be made up of four main parts: an open, a high, a low, and a close. Now, if we break down these four sections of the candlestick, we can see on the left, obviously, we have a green candle, and on the right, we have a red candle. The green candle is of course going to be green because that simply means that it closed at a higher price than it opened for that set period of time, whereas the red candle is going to be red because that just means that while that candlestick was open, it went down and closed at a lower price than it opened. Now the actual terms that make up these candlesticks are known as the real body, the upper wick, and the lower wick. The real body being the main colored section of the candle, and the upper wick, also sometimes called the upper shadow, is the line that's going to stick out from the top of our candlesticks, telling us the highest price that the stock or the underlying asset went during that set period of time. And of course, the lower wick is going to tell us the opposite, showing us exactly how low the price went before that candlestick closed. And all of these things are very important to understand because candlesticks can tell us a ton about a stock. Again, they are the basis of our technical analysis and the basis of our charts. So once we start talking about things like support, resistance, trend lines, different chart patterns, and getting into some more advanced trading strategies, you do have to understand candlesticks in order to understand those things as well. Okay, now depending on your chart's time frame, a candlestick can represent price action over the past 1 minute, the past 5 minutes, the past hour, the past day, and so on and so forth. Any time frame that you select on your chart is going to be what that candlestick represents. Generally speaking, short-term traders like day traders focus on short-term time frames such as the 1 minute or the 5-minute chart. Personally, as someone that day trades full-time, I would say that the 5-minute chart is the one that I focus on the most, but to each their own, and I know a lot of successful day traders that focus on the 1-minute chart, and I even know a lot of day traders that focus on longer term charts like the 15-minute chart and still have success doing that. So that's kind of going to come down to preference, but again, generally speaking, short-term trades are going to use short-term time frames. Longer-term traders and investors are then going to focus on longer-term time frames on their charts, such as the 1 hour or the daily chart. And all of the things that we're going to talk about in the future of this course can be seen on any different time frame. So we're not just going to see levels of support and resistance on the 5-minute charts or the 1-minute charts, we're also going to see support and resistance on longer term time frames like the daily chart or the weekly chart as well. And again, the same is true for any chart patterns that we talk about in this course as well. Now, just to kind of give you an idea of how these time frames work, we have two charts here. On the left, we have the 1-minute chart, and on the right, we have the 1-day chart. Both of these were taken at the same time for the same stock, but obviously we can see that these are two very different charts. And because this is the 1-minute chart over here on the left, and this is the daily chart over here on the right, all of this price action that we see here on the 1-minute chart is fit into this one little candlestick on the daily chart. So you can see by breaking it down this way that if you're looking at the daily chart and you're planning on trying to find a day trade based on what you see on the daily chart, aside from finding any key levels of support and resistance on the daily chart, you're going to have a really tough time finding entries and exits based on the price action because it's not giving you a ton of information here on this daily chart, whereas the 1-minute chart is showing us every little price fluctuation that happens in the market, along with how much volume is coming in at that same time. And that is going to help us determine when we should get in and out of our trades, which again is why shorter term traders tend to focus on shorter term time frames like the 1-minute chart. Now, moving on from candlestick analysis, the next step that I want to talk about is going to be support and resistance. Candlesticks, again, are kind of the foundation of our charts. So in the next few sections, we're going to talk a little bit more about the chart formations and the chart patterns that we can use to actually get into trades. The next step up from candlestick analysis then is going to be support and resistance. These two things are essentially the simplest formations or quote-unquote patterns that we see in the stock market, and they tie in very closely with all other patterns that we see as well. Okay, so with that being said, what a level of support is a price level where a stock historically has a difficult time moving below due to higher amounts of buying or demand than selling or supply. At the end of the day, the stock market moves solely on supply and demand. If there's a larger amount of demand or buying at any given price level, and there's not enough sellers or supply at that price level to sustain that demand, the demand is going to push the price higher. And the opposite is true as well. So because there's a larger amount of demand at these levels of support, we typically will see that the price will rise from that support level. Now, I do want to mention before we start taking a look at some charts and some diagrams that support levels, just like resistance levels, are not going to be 100% perfect. They're more like support areas than they are levels. So if you see that, for example, there is support forming at about $10 per share, just because the price moves down to $9.99 per share doesn't necessarily invalidate that support level just because it moved 1 penny below. Okay, now when it comes to visualizing and spotting these on your charts, it is as simple as taking a quick look at your chart and seeing where the price of the stock historically bounces off of or where the price tends to hold above. That's going to look something along the lines of what we see here with this diagram. We can see the price pulls all the way back down. At this point, because we don't know that this price action is going to happen yet, if we're watching this in real time, we don't know that this is a support level until it starts to bounce off of that area once again over here. At this point, then we can be looking to potentially buy the dip near the support level and then profit from the stock rising above it. Now, to take a real life example here, this is the chart for the stock CDIO. We're looking at the 5-minute chart, so every one of these candles is representing 5 minutes of price action, and this would be a time frame that you would most likely be watching if you're doing some short-term trading or some day trading. Now we can see pretty clearly that on this chart we do have a level of support at about $3 per share. Every time the price of the stock pulls back into that $3 level, we get a nice bounce off of it. And if you were watching this stock in real time and able to spot this level of support, you would have a great opportunity to buy into these dips down here at about $3 per share and then make a nice profit as it rebounds off of that support later in the day. It runs from just under $3 to over $3.50. So you could have made a profit of over 15% just on this one single trade within just a few hours. Now, if we take a look at the bigger picture of this chart, this is the same stock, but we're looking now at the 30-minute chart. So every one of these candles is representing 30 minutes of price action. And we can see that this Tuesday down here, this is the day that we were just looking at on a shorter term time frame. However, keeping that same level of support in mind at $3 per share, the following day we see that the stock pulls back down into that support. Once again, that level holds as support and offers a great opportunity for someone to buy into that support level. Following that, we see it's able to come up, break above the previous day's high, and it starts to run higher and higher and higher throughout the rest of the day. It actually ran from about $3 per share up to a high of $8.73 within the same day. So just by knowing where this level of support was at, there was potential to make a return of well over 100% on your investment within this one single trading day. That's why support and resistance, although they are very simple, they can be very, very beneficial to know and understand for anyone that's interested in trading or investing. Now at this point, since you should understand a little bit about how support works, resistance is essentially the polar opposite, so it should make a lot of sense to you now too. Resistance is going to be a price level where a stock historically has a difficult time moving above due to higher amounts of selling or supply than buying or demand. Again, just like support levels are not perfect, resistance levels are not perfect as well, but they can be a really good indicator that the price action is about to reverse to the downside. This is often going to look something along the lines of what we see here in this diagram. We could see that the price tops out multiple times around the same level. That level is going to be defined as an area of resistance, and we can look at that resistance area as an opportunity to short sell, like we talked about in the previous section in buying versus short selling. Short selling allows us to actually profit from a stock going down. So we could short sell into this resistance level, and then we could profit as the stock pulls back and goes lower. Alternatively, one of the things that we're going to talk about in the future of this course is going to be creating a trade plan. One of the aspects of your trade plan is going to be having an area in mind where you should lock in some of your profits. So for example, if you were to buy this down here on this pullback, you know that this recent high up here is going to be a potential area of resistance that the stock is going to pull back from. So using that level as a profit target to lock in some of your profits is a really good idea, so that way you can take profits before it starts to pull back lower. Okay, so here's an example on the 1-minute chart for SPY. SPY is the ETF for the S&P 500. This is a very commonly traded ETF, and we can see that there is quite a bit of resistance here at about $396.25. there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times where the price got to that area and reversed back to the downside. So again, if you were already in a position and you were looking for an area to sell, you could look to sell into that resistance area to avoid having to hold through any future pullbacks. Alternatively, if you weren't in a position and you were looking to capitalize on this resistance level, what you could do is look to short sell into that resistance, and then you would have been able to make a really solid profit as the price started to sell off lower throughout the rest of the day. Now, one thing that a lot of new traders don't realize is that broken support can often become resistance, and broken resistance can often become support. What that means is if we take a look at these diagrams, we can see that initially this level down here was acting as support. However, support, resistance, and anything in the stock market for that matter are not going to work 100% of the time. So occasionally, even if it looks like it's a solid level of support, the price can still break through below that. And if that happens, that past support level can then turn into a level of resistance. The same thing is true for resistance turning into support. If the stock is holding below a level of resistance and then suddenly there's a breakout above that resistance, you can actually look at that past resistance level as a newfound level of support to buy into to profit from that upward momentum. So for that reason alone, I do believe it's very important to keep track of past key levels on your charts. If there's any past significant levels of support and resistance, keep them on your charts and don't get rid of them right away, even if the price has since broken through that level. Now, moving on from support and resistance, the next step is to understand market trends and trend lines. Trend lines are essentially just slanted levels of support and resistance that can be drawn.
So now we have to understand कि market lines क्या होती है, market trends and trend lines क्या होती है, उसके regarding हम बात करेंगे, ठीक है? तो every time when you see कि market trends क्या होता है, वो कैसे मतलब slant होते हैं, level support and resistance that can be drawn during both a market uptrends and downtrends, उसके हिसाब से ये बनता है. Trend lines are essentially just slanted lines नहीं होती, वो अलग-अलग चीजें भी आपको define करती है, ठीक है? तो अब ये पूरा देखिए,
During both a
ठीक है?
market uptrend and during a market downtrend. So essentially, we're going to be using these trend lines the same way that we would with any other horizontal level of support and resistance. We can look at them as opportunities to buy the dip into trendline support and sell into the spike into trendline resistance. Now, what I mean by an uptrend or a downtrend is simply going to have to do with which direction overall the stock is moving. Obviously, even during an uptrend, there's going to be pullbacks and there's going to be dips, and vice versa, even in a downtrend, there's going to be bounces and the stock is occasionally going to slightly recover. Okay, but what an uptrend is when the overall direction of the price is up and the stock is forming both higher highs and higher lows. Now, in an uptrend, your trend line will again act as a level of support and can be drawn on your charts by connecting the lows. If we take a look at this chart here, we can see that, again, even though the stock is overall moving to the upside, there's still these pullbacks and there's
आप देखिए कि मार्केट ट्रेंड्स अपसाइड और पुल बैक्स कैसे होते हैं मार्केट ट्रेंड्स के. सो मार्केट ट्रेंड्स दीज आर द पुल बैक्स एंड देयर स्टिल डिप्स अ लॉन्ग वे अगो. लाइक देयर आर द मार्केट ट्रेंड्स जो ऊपर जाते हैं, मार्केट ट्रेंड्स जो नीचे भी आते हैं. पर ऊपर जाते वक्त हमको कौन से कैंडलस्टिक पैटर्न्स वी हैव टू मेक श्योर कि वो होते हैं. दैट इज अ ग्रीन कैंडलस्टिक पैटर्न, green candlestick pattern, then red candlestick pattern. These are the candlestick pattern that you have to take care when it comes to a market trend lines. Okay, so along the side these still dips a long way and there are the up and side. ये सारी की सारी चीज़ें होती है. So you have to understand कि market trends जब ऊपर जाए तो आपको किस हिसाब से अपना decision grab करना होता है, and market जब नीचे जाए तो किस हिसाब से market जो है वो lose करना.
still these dips
ठीक है?
along the way. And what defines this as an uptrend is that every one of these major peaks and every one of these major dips is going to be above the previous. So right here we have our peak, we have our high. We get another peak or another high right here. Obviously, this is higher than the previous high. Same thing happens here, once again here, and a few more times up in this area. And the same thing is true for the pullbacks or the dips. We have our first major one here. We get another one here, a few in this area, and then a few more up here. Higher highs and higher lows are what define this as being in an uptrend. Okay, so once we've identified that the price is in an uptrend, the next step is going to be to draw our levels of trendline support. Again, we're just going to, in an uptrend, connect the lows in order to draw our level of trendline support. So this is what this is going to look like, and we would simply look at this as an opportunity to buy the dip into this trendline support all the way up until the point that it starts to break down below that trendline support, because at that point, there's going to be a greater chance of this switching from an uptrend into a downtrend. So once we start talking a little bit more about risk management in the future of this course, we'll cover this topic a little bit more thoroughly, but for now, just understand that if the price is breaking down below support, even if that is a level of trendline support, that is potentially a bearish signal, and that's going to be a good time to lock in your profits or potentially cut any losses on the trade in order to manage your risk. Now, just like resistance is essentially the polar opposite of support, a downtrend is essentially going to be the polar opposite of an uptrend. That means that in a downtrend, the overall direction of the price is going to be to the downside, forming both lower highs and lower lows. In a downtrend, your trend line is going to act as a level of resistance and can be drawn by connecting the highs. This is a great example of that because we see that the stock here is clearly making both lower highs and lower lows. That means that the stock is in a downtrend, and in order to draw your trend line resistance in this case, all you have to do is go ahead and connect the highs. We're going to get a line that looks something along the lines of what we see here, and we can see that every time the price tests this level of resistance, it rejects and it makes a new low. This would be a really great opportunity for short sellers because it allows you to short sell into this trend line resistance and take advantage of this downside momentum. Now, with all of that being said, the market will often trade in what is known as a price channel, which essentially means that it moves between both trendline support and trendline resistance. This is then going to give us clear levels to both buy and sell. So if we take a look here at this example of a price channel, even though the overall direction of the price is to the upside, and even though this is considered to be in an uptrend, there is definitely a level of trendline resistance that starts to form here because we can see every time the price makes a new high into this trendline resistance area, it starts to reject back down. The same is obviously true for our trendline support. Every time it pulls back into this trendline support, it bounces off of it. And because of that, this is going to be known as a price channel, and more specifically, an uptrending price channel. Now, realistically, if you wanted to, what you could do would be to buy into this trendline support, sell into trendline resistance, and then start to short sell to then actually profit as well from the pullback, and then cover into that trendline support, buy and open another position, and so on and so forth, and repeat that process until the price starts to break out of this channel. But I will say that that makes this a little bit riskier than it really needs to be, because at the end of the day, you never want to fight the trend of a stock. So if the stock is in an uptrend like we have in this example, you don't want to try to short sell the stock. You want to simply ride the momentum, and the momentum in this case is to the upside. So you would simply want to look to buy into these dips into trendline support, and then sell into the spikes into the overhead trendline resistance. So when we have these price channels in the market, it's a really great opportunity to get in and out of these quick trades for consistent small profits with very low risk. And that's one of my favorite ways to take advantage of trend lines and market trends when I'm doing my day trading. Now in this section, I want to take a quick step back from the price action itself and focus on what are known as chart indicators. Chart indicators can be useful tools to help traders anticipate a future move in a stock. There are tons of different chart indicators that you can put onto your charts. However, I do want to say that too many indicators can cause what is known as analysis paralysis, and all that's going to do is overcomplicate things in your trading. The chart on the left side of the screen has several different moving averages. It has the VWAP, it has the on-balance volume at the bottom, and a few other indicators on there as well. All of those can be useful if you're doing a specific strategy that utilizes those indicators, but having them all on your chart at once is just going to make things much more complicated than they need to be. On the other side of the spectrum, the chart on the right side of the screen has just one indicator on, and that is the VWAP in this case, and it's going to be much more simple to analyze the price action and find better trades using just a few trading indicators at a time, like we see on the right side of the screen. Now again, as I mentioned, there are tons of different indicators, but in this section, because this is a short beginner-friendly course, we're going to just focus on two of the most commonly used trading indicators, and they also happen to be two of the ones that I think are the most valuable, especially for newer traders. Now, the first of those is going to be the VWAP, or the volume weighted average price. The VWAP is calculated by totaling the dollar amount traded in every single transaction divided by the total volume. So in other words, it's essentially just a moving average that also factors in volume on top of the price, and this can be a very useful trading indicator. Now, technically speaking, the VWAP has three lines. It has an upper band, it has a middle band, and it has a lower band. However, in time, what you're probably going to notice is that most traders tend to focus solely on the middle band, and they actually take the upper and lower bands off of their charts. And that's exactly what we're going to do for this course because, again, the middle band is the one that most traders focus on, and this is the one that's going to give us the most value when it comes to our day trading. So with that being said, when you add the VWAP onto your chart, this is what it's going to look like. It is simply a line that goes throughout your chart, and it can be a very useful signal, and it can also help us to find entries and exits on our trades. So the main way that the VWAP is used is you take a look at the chart, you take a look at the VWAP, and when the price is above the VWAP, that simply indicates that the buyers are in control at the time. This means that there's more demand than there is supply for the stock. The buyers are lined up. You're probably going to see an uptrend, higher highs and higher lows. And in that case, what can happen is the VWAP will often become a level of support that we can then use to look for dip buys when the stock starts to pull back. Now, it's not always as easy as letting a stock spike up and then waiting for a dip buy when it pulls back into the VWAP, but that does happen more often than you might expect. And it is one of the many ways that traders can use the VWAP to capitalize with their day trading. Now, with that being said, if the price happens to break back under the VWAP, that can indicate that the sellers are taking control, and it may be time to sell as the VWAP can then become a level of resistance. So if we take a look at the chart at the bottom of the screen, this is a great example because we can see that there is a nice run up here briefly in the morning. The stock spikes up above the VWAP and is trending higher. So if you were watching this in real time, there's a good chance that you would be waiting for a pullback into the VWAP to actually start to buy the dip. In this case, it pulls back into VWAP, consolidates for a few minutes, and then it starts to break below VWAP. And like I mentioned earlier in the course, nothing is going to work 100% of the time in the stock market. It doesn't matter if you're a millionaire, it doesn't matter if you're a new trader. You're going to make mistakes and you're going to get into trades from time to time that seem like they're going to work out perfectly, but they end up going against you. So in this case, buying into this pullback into VWAP, there's nothing wrong with it necessarily because at this point in time, it does still seem like the stock is in an uptrend and it's simply experiencing a small pullback into VWAP support. But what happens is it starts to break below VWAP. The VWAP then turns into a bit of a resistance area, and then it starts to fade off lower and lower and lower. So that's why I wanted to mention this, because if you were to buy into this VWAP here, since it is so important to manage risk when you're trading stocks, it would be very important to take your loss and manage your risk once it starts to actually break down below the VWAP. The next chart indicator that I want to briefly cover in this section of the course is going to be the RSI, or the Relative Strength Index. The RSI is a momentum indicator used to determine when a stock is overbought or oversold. So an RSI of 30 or lower means that the stock is currently oversold, which means that it's due for a bounce in the near future. On the other side of the spectrum, an RSI of 70 or higher means that the stock is overbought and due for a pullback. And we can see by taking a look at the chart at the bottom of the screen, the RSI is actually going to be below the chart itself, and it is going to be a scale from 0 to 100, 70 being overbought, 30 being oversold, and those two levels are going to be emphasized on the RSI, so that way you can easily see when a stock becomes overbought or oversold. So in this example, we can see that initially the stock pulls back, it becomes oversold, consolidates for a while, bounces back up, it then becomes overbought, consolidates a little bit, briefly breaks above that high, pulls back down. During that pullback, it becomes oversold. Again, it bounces back up into overbought levels, kind of trades sideways and climbs higher slowly throughout the rest of the day. Okay, so it is very common for a stock to become overbought or oversold, as we can see from this example, being that it happened multiple times throughout this day alone. But one thing to keep in mind is that even though in this example, it would have worked out in your favor by buying every time the stock became oversold and selling every time the stock became overbought, it's not always going to be that simple. And because of that, I would say that the RSI on its own should not be used as a buy or sell indicator, because at the end of the day, a stock can remain overbought or oversold for an extended period of time. Instead, what you want to do is pair the RSI with the price action itself to give yourself a better odds of successfully trading with the RSI. Now, what I mean by that is taking a look at this example here. We have the same chart for Apple, and we can see that Apple becomes oversold right about here just after 12 o'clock as it pulls back under $161 per share. Okay, so if we were to buy into this position as soon as it became oversold, depending on your risk tolerance and your position size, there's a possibility that you would be stopped out almost immediately, taking a very unnecessary loss on this trade before it even has a chance to bounce out of that oversold territory. Okay, so this is where kind of pairing the price action with the RSI is going to kind of work in your favor. And what you would want to do instead is wait for it to start to bounce a little bit. And in this case, we can see that it kind of consolidates, forms a couple higher lows and higher highs. That's a great sign that now that it is breaking out of that oversold territory, there's potential for it to kind of switch back into an uptrend. So you would realistically be better off by buying somewhere into this consolidation, maybe somewhere into this higher low, and you would have made a nice profit in doing so. But more importantly, you would have taken a lot of the guessing out of the picture, because you're not buying into the stock that's just falling lower and lower and lower just because it's oversold. You're pairing that oversold indicator with the fact that the stock is actually showing signs of bottoming out and starting to reverse back to the upside. And that's very important when trading with the RSI. And realistically, that's very important when trading with any type of chart indicator. At the end of the day, the more things that you can have in your favor or in the favor of your trade, the more likely that trade is to actually work out. Level 2 and time and sales. Together, these two things are going to be referred to often as the tape. And the tape, although it is technically an indicator, it's very different from the chart indicators that we talked about in the previous section of the course when we went over the VWAP and the RSI. This is going to be a very important section because the level 2 and the time and sales are two very important indicators when it comes to price action trading, especially once you get into more advanced trading strategies down the road. Okay, so level 2 is going to be an order book that displays the price size and whether it is a buy or sell order for pretty much every single order that someone places in the market. Now, obviously, you're only going to be looking at one specific stock at a time, but with the level 2, whatever stock you're looking at, you'll be able to see where other traders are placing orders to buy or sell the stock. Now, the level 2 is really split up into two sections, which you can see at the bottom. First, we have on the left side the bids or the buyers. Obviously, when you place an order to buy or to cover a short position, that's going to appear then on the bid side or the left side of the level 2. And we can see that this is going to show the route that was used to place the order, which we're not going to pay too much attention to, followed by the price of the order. And then last but not least, the number of shares that are placed within that order. This is usually going to be by the hundred. So this is an order to buy 300 shares at $192.50. And on the other side of the level 2, then we're going to have the asks, also referred to often as the offers. And all that means is that these are the sellers. So again, every time you place an order to sell or to short sell, it's going to appear then on the right side of the level 2. Okay, so simply put, the level 2 really just allows us to visualize supply and demand at a specific price level. This can help us to identify imbalances in the supply and demand, which can of course create trade opportunities, since we know that the market really does fluctuate based on how much supply or selling and demand or buying there is at any given price. For example, if there is a 20,000 share bid or buy order placed and shown on the level 2 at $5 per share, and the offer at $5.01 is only for 500 shares, the price is likely going to rise through that 501 order. Now, that's not to say that eventually the price won't be below $5 per share, because obviously that can happen as well, but when there's a significant imbalance between the bids and the offers at any given price, short term the price is likely going to react to that imbalance. So in this case, with a 20,000 share bid, obviously that amount of demand is much greater than the 500 shares of supply, which is going to most likely temporarily drive the price above that 501 offer. Okay, so that's kind of the general idea of how the level 2 is used. However, I will say that it's going to be very important to pair the level 2 with the time and sales, and that's why these two things usually go hand in hand, because one thing that a lot of people don't understand is that some orders in the market can be placed with a hidden route that actually hides those orders from the level 2. However, no transaction can be hidden from the time and sales. So when you pair those two together, you can kind of start to see where these hidden buyers and these hidden sellers are at. Now, the time and sales is pretty self-explanatory. It's going to be a box that shows us the time, volume, price, and exchange of every transaction that happens in the market. Now again, because orders can be hidden from the level 2, but transactions cannot be hidden from the time and sales, pairing the two together can help us to spot what are known as hidden buyers and hidden sellers. Now this is a little bit more advanced, so we're not going to fully cover it here in this beginner course, but I do want to just briefly give a quick example here to touch on the topic, so that way you can really kind of just understand how the level 2 and the time and sales work together. Okay, so for example, when we're talking about hidden buyers and hidden sellers, how you would go about spotting these would be, of course, to be looking at the level 2 and the time and sales. And on the level 2, let's say, for example, it's showing that there is a bid or buy of 100 shares at $8 per share. But you see on the time and sales that there have been thousands and thousands of trades going through at $8 per share, and the same 100 share bid on the level 2 has not disappeared. That means that the order shown for 100 shares is actually a much larger order, and someone is buying up many more shares than they're actually trying to show. That's an example of how you can spot hidden buying and hidden selling using the level 2 and the time and sales. And because usually the traders that are using hidden orders are traders that are investing or trying to sell very large amounts of shares, those are the traders that we want to be aware of. So it can be very useful to know when they are doing their hidden buying or their hidden selling.
आई होप यू हैव गेट दिस नॉलेज। ओके, तो अभी मैं आपकी थोड़ा देख लेती हूँ क्या है क्वेश्चंस। ठीक है, क्विज हम कर सकते हैं इसमें, 10 क्वेश्चन का क्विज है, तो वी कैन डू दैट ऑल्सो। ठीक है, गिव मी या मैडम जी, ये कैंडल को समझने में हमें 7 महीने लग गए, अब तो मार्केट के और नजदीक आ गए। गुड, हाय हाय, ऑलराइट, थैंक यू, यस यस यस। ठीक है, तो गाइस अभी मैंने आपको सारे के सारे ये बता दिए। अब मैं फंडामेंटल एनालिसिस पे जाती हूँ, लेकिन सबसे पहले मैं क्विज कर लेते हैं। स्टार्ट द क्विज, चलो बताओ। व्हाट इज द मेन कलर्ड सेक्शन ऑफ द कैंडलस्टिक पैटर्न कॉल्ड? व्हाट इज द मेन कलर्ड सेक्शन ऑफ कैंडलस्टिक पैटर्न कॉल्ड? मेन कलर, द मेन बॉडी। नो, बताओ क्या होगा? क्लोज बॉडी, द बॉडी। नो, द रियल बॉडी। Right. Next question. Which time frame would you trade a day? Which time frame would a day trader most likely focus on? कौन से टाइम फ्रेम को एक डे ट्रेडर मोस्टली लाइक टू फोकस ऑन? Which time frame would a day trader most likely focus on? 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week. अगर आप एज ए ट्रेडर है तो आप कितने टाइम लिमिट पे देखते हैं? 1 मिनट, 1 आवर, 1 डे और 1 वीक? 1 minute, 1 hour, 1 day, 1 week. Tell me. I think 1 hour, I think. Row 1 minute? Yes, 1 minute. Day trader, Lucas, 1 minute. Fill the question. Support is the price level where a stock historically has difficult time breaking below due to the higher amounts of demand and supply. Right. Next. Fill the question. Resistance is a price level where stock historically has a difficult time breaking above due to higher amounts of supply and demand. Right. Next. Which kind of trend is it considered when a stock market is making lower high and lower lows? Lower high and lower lows. I think consolidation. Uptrend, breakout, डाउन ट्रेंड. लोअर से समझना चाहिए कि डाउन है. नेक्स्ट, मैं आपका टेस्ट, आप भी मुझे आंसर दे सकते हैं. The more indicators you have on a chart, the easier it will be to predict where the stock goes. True or false? The more indicators you have on your chart, it will easier to predict where the stock goes. True. False. Next. Fill in the maths. VWAP stands for weighted average price. Volatility, volume, variable, none of the above. Volatility, volume, variable, none of the above. I think volatility. Variable? No volume? Correct. Next. What would a stock with the RSI of 86 would be considered? Over what? Right. Which of the following is an order where buyers or sellers have order placed? Time and sales, volume, level 2. I think volatility या volume होगा. Volume होगा I think. Level 2 ही होगा फिर. Right. Orders can be hidden from level 2 transaction but cannot be hidden from time and sales. True. See the results. Continue. Now we will be having on a fundamental analysis and the company research. The analysis of the company's financial statement, revenue per earning, operating expenses is considered as a financial analysis and the company's research. So fundamental analysis के ऊपर मैं आपके लिए एक वीडियो लाई हूँ. Scanning and trading में scanning for our stocks to trade, order opens, market limit and stop. तो ये आपको लगाना होगा. ठीक है. एंड दूसरी बात जो है वो ये वाला जो मुझे करवाना है, स्कैनिंग फॉर स्टॉक्स टू ट्रेड. स्कैनिंग क्या होती है? स्टॉक्स टू ट्रेड करने में आपको कितने स्कैन्स लगते हैं, ऑर्डर टाइप्स और मार्केट लिमिट क्या होती है, वो मैं आपको इसके थ्रू
All right, we're now in the
an order to buy or order to sell at the current price and the market price depends upon the market orders that can be filled immediately and cannot be made to the price that you would prefer. Okay, so there are the different types and you have to make analysis of that. We are now in the home stretch of this beginning course, so we have to understand what is the order types, market limit and stop. BS राजपूत सर बोलिए. 1 hour 1 day. 1 hour 1 day रॉन्ग आंसर है. करेक्ट आंसर इज 1 minute. आप 1 minute के अंदर ही बाय और सेल करते हैं. ठीक है. इट डिपेंड्स अपॉन दिस. 1 hour और 1 day में आप बाय एंड सेल करते हैं. ठीक है. गॉट दिस? एम आई क्लियर? ठीक है, कंटिन्यू करें.
home stretch of this beginner course. And before we talk about one of my favorite day trading strategies in the next section, I want to first cover the different order types that you can use to actually buy and sell shares of stock. The first of those that is very important to know about is a market order. A market order is an order to buy or sell at the market's current best price. Market orders will be filled immediately as soon as you place them and may not be filled at the price that you'd prefer. Okay, so what that means is if we take a look at the level 2 down here, we of course know from talking about level 2 and time and sales in the previous section that the left side over here is going to be the bids or the buyers, and the right side over here is going to be the asks or the sellers. Now in this example, if you were to use a market order to buy 100 shares of this stock, what would happen is you would be filled at whatever the current best price is on the ask, whatever somebody is asking for their shares, as long as they have enough shares. So if this order here was for 50 shares, for example, since you placed an order to buy 100 shares, you would get 50 shares filled immediately at $192.51. And then if the next lowest offer after that is all the way up at $193, your other 50 shares would not be filled until that price. Okay, so you can see how this might be dangerous if there's a stock that's maybe not trading with a ton of volume, and maybe the orders on the level 2 are pretty spaced out. Market orders in that case could cause you to get filled at a price that is going to kind of set you up for failure. Okay, so with that being said, I personally would try to avoid using market orders if possible. Only use them if you are very urgent to get in and out of a stock immediately. And ideally, you should only be trading stocks anyway that have a ton of volume, so that way you don't really have to worry about there being big spaces between the orders on the level 2. However, I will say that most of the time the better route is to use what is known as a limit order. So a limit order is going to be an order to buy or sell a stock at a specified price or better. Okay, so going back to this level 2 example here, if we were to, in this case with the stock BYND, place an order to buy 100 shares at, let's say, $192.25 per share, well, because these two orders here on the level 2 show the best being $192.50 and the next best after that being $192 even, our limit order would be placed in between these two orders, and we would only get filled on that order if the price fell down to $192.25. So this is my preferred way to trade because it allows you really to only buy or sell at the prices that you really want to buy or sell at. Taking a look at the example down here at the bottom, we can see here that between about 12:30 and 1:30 on this given day, there looks to be a little bit of support starting to form just above the VWAP here. So if you were watching that and looking for a trade in real time, instead of waiting for the stock to fall all the way back down to this level and then using a market order to try and buy very quickly as it retests this support level, what you could do is kind of in this zone here as it's trading sideways, you could simply place a limit order to buy at, maybe just below $6 per share. And that order would only be filled again once it pulls back to $6 per share or lower. So you can then just place that order and kind of sit back and forget about it until it gets filled. And if the stock doesn't pull back that far, you simply wouldn't be filled and you can cancel your order later. But in that case, there's nothing wrong with that happening either, because if it doesn't fall back to the price that you really want to buy at, there's no point in buying the stock at all. And really the same thing is true for limit orders on the sell side. If you're trying to sell out of a stock, what you could do is once you're in a position, you can look for nearby resistance levels, and you could place an order to sell your shares just below that resistance level. So that way, if the resistance hold and the stock starts to reverse back down, you've already locked in some of your profits and you don't have to worry about the stock pulling back. Okay, now the third order type that I want to talk about that is very important for risk management is going to be a stop or a stop loss order. Stop loss order is an order to buy or sell stock at the market only if the price reaches a specified price, which is known as your stop price. Okay, so what this means is, let's take the example down here at the bottom. We can see this stock is kind of trending higher. It's making higher highs and higher lows, and we have a little bit of trend line support. Now, like with any support, if a stock starts to break down below that support level, that is a bearish sign, and that can often indicate that the stock is reversing from an uptrend into a downtrend. And because of that, when a stock breaks down below support, it's usually in your best interest to manage your risk and cut losses on that trade if you're already invested into it. And that's where a stop loss order can really come into play. Okay, so let's say that you bought into this pullback here near the trend line support, and for whatever reason, maybe you didn't lock in any profits into this big spike up here. Instead of letting this crack down below support and break down even lower and take a big loss on the trade, what you could do is you could place a stop loss order with a stop price of, let's just say, $1.90 just below that trend line support. And what that would do is it would automatically sell you out of your position and cut losses on the trade for you once the stock price fell down and reached $1.90 per share. Obviously, no one wants to take a loss on a trade, but managing risk and keeping our losses small is very important with day trading. So in this case, that would be the right thing to do. And it also would have saved you a lot of money on this particular trade because, as we can see, it kind of trades sideways from that level a little bit, and then it sells all the way down to under $1.50 per share just a few hours later in the day. Okay, so simply put, stop loss orders allow you to automatically manage your risk if the stock price falls down to a specified price, which is your stop price. Now, to finally finish off this 1-hour beginner course, I want to give you a strategy that you can actually start to utilize, and it's one that I use almost every single day in my own personal trading. This strategy is known as the opening range breakout, and it can be used for both long trades as well as short trades. What an opening range breakout is when the stock price rises above or below the high or the low of the first candle of the trading day, and this is typically going to be done on the 5-minute time frame. In my opinion, this is one of the best ways to trade a stock that has a large move up in pre-market. Okay, so let's take a quick look here at this visualizer as to what this opening range breakout is going to look like. So we have our first candle here. This is at the market open, and this is on the 5-minute time frame. So this candle is going to be 5 minutes of price action. And the nice thing about this strategy is a lot of traders that are kind of new to trading, they kind of start to get anxious at the market open. They start to feel like they're going to miss out on a trade, and they kind of just blindly jump into these stocks that are moving very quickly at the market open, even when there's really no strategy to buying at that time. So with this strategy, it kind of forces you to sit back for the first 5 minutes, let that first candle completely form, and then once the second 5-minute candle opens, that's when you start to look for that opening range breakout. And once the price rises again above the high of that first candle, that's when we have technically an opening range breakout, and that's when you look to start buying into the stock's momentum, and then ideally you profit from the rise in the price that follows. Okay, so let's take a look here at this real life example here. This was a stock that I traded the other day, and it had a huge run up, and it was a really great opportunity to trade the opening range breakout strategy. So first things first, we see that here in the gray section, this is pre-market. And what we want to see again is that the stock is moving up and having a pretty big move up ideally in pre-market. And that just tells us that there is momentum there. Most of the time, if there's a big move in pre-market, there's going to be strong relative volume. There's also usually some kind of news or press release associated with that move. And what we're looking for with the opening range breakout is then kind of just validating that the momentum is still there during market hours. Okay, so if we zoom in a bit here, we can see the first 5-minute candlestick here has a high of $3.05, and it has a low down here of $2.70. So all you're doing again is looking for that breakout above that high and then starting to buy into the stock. So we get that breakout right in the second candle here. It briefly breaks above that high, and then it spikes right away all the way up to a high of $3.55. So already there was potential on that quick move there for, a 15% profit or so. But what we see happen then is it kind of consolidates above VWAP. We can see there are some long lower wicks on these candlesticks,
You
which
can
again
see there are long lowers and longer period of time where the candlestick pattern gets up and round, and the order types, and then we have a opening range breakout strategy. So आपको breakout के time पे कौन सी strategy use करनी है, you have to you have to take care of it कि आपको कौन सी strategy use करनी है. तो उसके लिए दिस हैज बीन असाइंड टू यू. ओके, तो आपको कितनी भी स्ट्रैटेजी आपको यूज करनी है, तो आपको ये देखना पड़ेगा कि मैं कितना स्ट्रैटेजी लूँ. तो उसके हिसाब से आपको कैसे करना है, लोअर विक्स कहाँ दिख रही है, कैंडलस्टिक पैटर्न कैसे जा रहे हैं, यू हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड. मैनेजिंग गोल्ड हमारा थोड़ा सा बाय है, मौका मिले तो हम ऊपर से निकल जाएगा. मैं बताऊंगी ना आपको प्रिडिक्शन बेस्ड चार्ट को, सर वेट कीजिए थोड़ा, पहले मुझे लेक्चर्स खत्म कर लेने दीजिए, लेक्चर्स थोड़े इंपॉर्टेंट है. ओके, so, Madam Ji, okay. As we can see, there's some long lower wicks on these candlestick pattern, which going back to the candlestick again. So you have to understand that wherever the strategy says that there is a wick or the tail is going downward or upward, you have to make sure कि आपका जो भी strategy होता है, it should be depends upon the opening and the closing. So उसके हिसाब से ही have to maintain the things. You have to maintain the equilibrium point कि आप कितना बाय और कितना सेल कब कब करेंगे. ठीक है, तो डिपेंड्स अपॉन द दैट. तो ये हम कंप्लीट कर लेते हैं. देन वील हैव अ ओपनिंग रेंज ब्रेकआउट स्ट्रैटेजी, एंड देन उसके बाद वी विल बी हैविंग नॉर्मल अदर बाइंग एंड शॉर्ट सेलिंग और डे ट्रेडिंग क्या होती है. सो इन्वेस्टिंग के ऊपर मैं 4 और पॉइंट्स आपको बता दूंगी, पॉइंटर्स, और फिर हम लोग बाकी की चीजें कंप्लीट करेंगे. ठीक है.
Back to the candlestick analysis section, those long lower wicks represent demand down here. Every time the stock pulls back to these levels, buyers are quickly pushing the price back up. And anyway, we can see that this breakout continues throughout pretty much the rest of the day, and it runs from that 305 breakout level at the opening range all the way up to a high later in the day of $9.73. Now, obviously, this is a great example, and they're not always going to be this big of a runner, but the opening range breakout has potential to create huge returns within just a single day. And even more important than that, if we zoom back into the opening range here, one of the reasons that I like this strategy so much is because it also gives you a clear level of risk. So with that being said, If you're buying into that breakout above the opening range high, you can then use the opening range low as your risk level to cut losses in case this breakout fails and the price starts to fall back down. So in this case, you would be risking down to a low of about $2.70 from just over $3 per share. That's about a 30-cent per share risk, and the return here is, potentially over $6 per share with only that 30-cent risk. That's why this strategy is so great, and that's why this is a strategy that I use almost every single day when I'm doing my own personal trading. So I do highly recommend that you give it a try for yourself.
Okay, so now again, I want to start with having a quiz. Okay, so चलो 4 क्वेश्चन है, गिव मी आंसर्स. मैडम जी गोल्ड मैं बता दूंगी ना सर, आपको टेंशन मत लीजिए, आपका बार बार कमेंट्स पे देख रही हूँ. Which type of order would you place in order to buy a stop at $4 if you're currently trading at $5? So market order, limit order, stop loss order. कौन सा order होगा? I think market order. Limit order? Right. Next. Which order is primarily used to manage risk and cut loose losses? Market order, limit order, stop loss order, right? Right. Next. According to the range breakout strategy, what should a trader do if the price rises above the high of the opening candle? According to opening breakout strategy, what should a trader do if the price rises above the high of an opening candle? I think buy. Correct. Just like in the strategy, the opening range breakout will fail from time to time, so it's important to manage the risk. True. See, we got all answers correct. Next. Now we will be learning about day trading and swing trading versus investing. What is a day trading, what is a swing trading and what is a investing? So आपको देखना है कि डे ट्रेडिंग क्या होती है, इन्वेस्टिंग क्या होती है, स्विंग ट्रेडिंग क्या होती है. हर एक चीज़ आपको देखनी पड़ेगी, क्योंकि आपका अगर आप देखेंगे आपको समझ में आएगा कि डे ट्रेडिंग में देयर आर डिफरेंस एंड स्विंग ट्रेडिंग में देयर आर डिफरेंस. तो आपको इन्वेस्टमेंट ऑप्शन के लिए ईजी हो जाएगा. जब आप कोई भी इन्वेस्टमेंट करेंगे तो आपके माइंड में क्लियर रहेगा कि आज हमें कौन सी इन्वेस्टमेंट करनी चाहिए, राइट? तो ये सबसे बड़ी प्रॉफिट है एंड ये सबसे बड़ा डिसीजन यू हैव टू मेक इट. अदर देन दैट वी आर हैविंग अनदर बाइंग एंड शॉर्ट सेलिंग में क्या डिफरेंस होता है उसके रिगार्डिंग भी आई विल टीच यू, आई विल शेयर यू द डिटेल्स. सेकेंड इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज दैट what is the fundamentals of the technical analysis, like what are the fundamentals, what should we keep in mind before we do the technical analysis. So we have to make sure कि हम वो भी चीज़ कवर करें. Okay, and third important thing is that what are the stocks क्या होते हैं, क्रिप्टो क्या होते हैं, उसके ऊपर भी हम एक थोड़ा सा लेक्चर कर लेंगे. ठीक है, तो ये देख लेते हैं अभी.
Now, when it comes to trading and investing in stocks, there are tons of different options that you can take, whether you're trying to very short-term trade or do some long-term investing. There are options for any type of trading preference. Obviously, the goal of this course is to focus on day trading, but I wanted to kind of differentiate day trading from swing trading and those two also from investing. So what day trading is going to be is when you buy and sell shares within the same trading day of the same stock, with the goal being to, of course, take advantage of the very quick price fluctuations in the market. This is going to be a little bit different from what is known as swing trading, because swing trading is when you buy shares that you hold generally anywhere from a few days up to sometimes a few months before you sell that position. Of course, this is a little bit longer term than day trading, but it's not going to be quite as long term as investing, which is typically defined as, holding positions in the stock market for a year or longer. Now, going back to what we briefly talked about just a moment ago, when it comes to small caps, mid caps, and large caps, generally speaking, day traders tend to focus a little bit more on small cap stocks, while investors will generally focus more on mid and large cap stocks. And the reason for that is because small cap stocks tend to be a little bit more volatile than mid and large cap stocks, and that volatility is what can lead to those very quick day trading profits that day traders are searching for. However, that volatility in the small market capitalization of the company itself can lead to a lot of uncertainty in the long run, which makes them a lot higher risk when it comes to long-term investing. On the other hand, swing traders and longer-term investors tend to focus more on mid and large cap stocks because these are generally going to be more reputable, financially stronger companies that are going to make better investments in the long term. Now, that's not to say that day traders can't day trade large cap stocks. The reality is that most new traders don't have a lot of money to get started with day trading, and when you're day trading large cap stocks, which have much higher priced shares, it can often require you to have a lot more money in your account in order to make any significant profits in that trade. Now, one very quick and important thing about day trading is that if you're in the United States or if you're using a brokerage that is based in the United States, you're going to unfortunately have to deal with the pattern day trader rule, which is often just referred to as the PDT rule. And what this rule does is limits the US-based traders to only placing 3 day trades per 5 business days if their account balance is below $25,000. Once your account is over $25,000, you are free to day trade as much or as little as you'd like. But until then, you do unfortunately have to go by this rule and place only 3 day trades per 5 business days. And unfortunately, this rule was put into place by the SEC in order to, quote unquote, protect inexperienced traders from placing too many trades and losing their money too quickly. But regardless of whether or not that's what it actually does, unfortunately, it is a rule that you have to follow. And if you don't, your brokerage is going to put further restrictions on your account. So a quick tip to kind of help you avoid this rule a little bit. This is perfectly legal and there's nothing wrong with this. You're able to have as many brokerage accounts as you'd like. So what I recommend doing is opening several brokerage accounts, maybe one, for example, with TD Ameritrade and one with E-Trade. And you can split your money in half, which is going to give you twice as many day trades because you're going to get 3 day trades per 5 business days in each of those brokerage accounts. On top of that, this is going to be a great way to help you get into day trading with low risk because now that your money is split up into 2 separate accounts, it's going to prevent you from putting every penny in your account into one single trade, which is a mistake that many new traders unfortunately make and often leads to some large losses. One thing that a lot of new traders are not quite aware of is that you can
Comes to this buying and the short selling. So when you do a trading, you can buying for a longer period of time in order to do the profit from the stock rising prices. So buy is equal to this and sell is equal to this. One thing that a lot of new traders are quite aware of is that you can make money in the stock market or you can make a money in the crypto market also. But buying and short selling represent different type of things. Like what is a buying is you can go a long buy, you can make a short buy. So इसके ऊपर एक डिफरेंस होता है जो हमें ये बताएंगे कि बाइंग एंड सेलिंग में क्या डिफरेंस है, ठीक है? तो फिर हम ये अभी देख लेते हैं.
make money in the stock market, whether stocks are going up or even if they're going down. Of course, the most common way to make money in the stock market is when stocks go up. And when you're trading or investing, what you can do is buy, or in other words, quote unquote, go long in order to profit from a stock's rising price. And the way that you do that is by buying low and selling high. So if we take a look at this diagram here, the green dot representing where we would buy stock and the red dot representing where we would sell our shares, this of course would be a profitable trade because we are buying at a lower price, and then later on as the share price increases, we are selling at a higher price, giving us a profit that is going to be the difference between where we bought and where we sold, multiplied by the number of shares that we traded. And let's just say that after we bought the shares right here at this green dot, let's say that the chart ended up kind of coming down and the price fell after we bought So we decided to cut our losses on the trade by selling at a lower price than we bought. Our loss on that trade is going to be calculated the same way. Again, it's going to be the difference between where we bought and where we sold multiplied by the number of shares. Now, on the other side of the spectrum, you can do what is known as short selling or just going short in order to profit from a stock's declining price. Now, short selling is a little bit more complex than just typical buying and selling in the stock market. So because this is a beginner-friendly course, we're going to be focusing mostly on buying. However, just to briefly cover how short selling works, first and foremost, what you would do is place an order to short sell when you believe the stock price is going to fall. Once you send out that order, what it's going to do is automatically request to borrow those shares from your brokerage. Then once those shares are lent to you from your brokerage, you would then sell those borrowed shares, later buying them back, which is called covering your short position. Ideally, this is of course going to be at a lower price. Once you cover that position, those borrowed shares are automatically going to be returned to your broker, and you are either going to profit or lose the difference between where you bought and where you sold, multiplied again by the number of shares that you traded. So if you think about it, in order to profit from short selling, you still want to buy low and sell high, the same way that you do when you're doing a typical buy and sell transaction. The difference with short selling is that you're simply selling high first, and then later on, ideally, the price is going to fall, and you're going to be able to buy back those shares at a lower price. It can be really nice and very important to understand how short selling works and to be able to utilize it in real time in the market, because stocks don't always just go straight up. They're going to have pullbacks, and they're going to have reversals to the downside. So it's important to be able to capitalize on the market in any market condition, even when stocks are going down.
Now it's a time for the quiz again. तो मैंने आपको सारे के सारे लेक्चर शेयर कर दिए. नाउ वी हैव टू गो विद द क्विज. ठीक है, अब मैं क्विज आपको बताती हूँ. तो यू हैव टू गिव मी द आंसर्स. तो प्लीज गाइस डिपॉजिट कर लीजिए. डिपॉजिट नहीं करेंगे तो आपको कोई बेनिफिट्स नहीं मिलेगा. यू हैव टू मेक अ डिपॉजिट. ओके, तो स्टार्ट करते हैं क्विज. ओके, डिपॉजिट कर लीजिए डिपॉजिट बैनर पे. ठीक है. A share of a stock represents a small amount of ownership in a company. True or false? True. Next. What would the stock of 30 billion company known as? Small cap, mid cap, large cap? I think small cap. No, mid cap होगा फिर. Large cap होता है $30 billion. Nice. Next. Which type of trading involves holding a position anywhere from a few days to few months? Day trading, swing trading, long term, scalp trading. Day trading, I think. Position, I think long term investing. Scalping, swing trading. The pattern day trader rule limits US traders with accounts of 25 per day. तो कितना हो गया? 3. Next. You can make money from stock price going up down by short selling. True. तो हमारे सारे आंसर्स राइट निकले. सो आपको समझ में आ गया अभी क्या करना चाहिए. नाउ वी विल बी मूविंग ऑन टू द नेक्स्ट लेक्चर. मैं सारे लेक्चर्स आपको दिखाऊंगी क्योंकि मैं चाहती हूँ कि
Alright, now everything up until this point
आप
in this
लोग अच्छे से सीख लें. तो मेरा अभी होगा आपको क्रिप्टो के बारे में कुछ बताना. ठीक है. अभी हम लोग जाएंगे एक इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज में जो कि है हमारा क्रिप्टो इन्वेस्टमेंट कोर्स फंड योर रिटायरमेंट. दिस इज इम्पॉर्टेंट बिकॉज इट कंटेन्स ऑल द लेवल्स ऑफ द क्रिप्टो इन्वेस्टमेंट जर्नी. ठीक है. तो इट कंटेन्स द बिटकॉइन. इट कंसिस्ट ऑफ ब्लॉकचेन, मेम कॉइन्स, लेयर 1, लेयर 2, AI, गेमिंग एंड एवरीथिंग. So we have to go through this. Okay. So now I will be sure this person is going to tell why crypto is financial system of the future. Then what is the how which how to buy cryptocurrency right now, the harsh reality of the cryptocurrency, but how you to win in the end. So this guy is actually trying to tell you what are the difference between the cryptocurrency right now, the harsh reality of the cryptocurrencies, and how you can drive all the money out there. You must do this for the best result. The approach is crucial when crypto is investing, but I would be focusing on 2 to 3 of the videos. ठीक है, तो उसके हिसाब से I will make sure कि आपको जो है पता चल जाए how to buy cryptocurrencies right now. तो ये हम कर लेते हैं, अभी देख लेते हैं कि आपको अभी
currencies to invest
कौन सी करेंसीज आपको क्रिप्टो करेंसीज बाय करनी चाहिए। फिर हम इसको देखने के बाद हम प्रिडिक्शन कर लेंगे और उसके बाद सेशन को एंड हो जाएगा। थोड़े से गाने प्ले कर दूंगी मैं, ठीक है। प्लीज हैव अ लुक ऑन दिस।
to trade or to sell. The first thing I'm going to take you through is exchange types. You've got two main types of exchange in cryptocurrency. One is spot and the other one is DEX. And the difference is the custody. With a spot exchange, they hold your tokens, and with a decentralized exchange, you hold your tokens. So if we go back to CoinMarketCap, we can have a look at exchanges. Now, exchanges are where you buy cryptocurrencies. It's basically the marketplace for cryptocurrencies. Now, if we hover over exchanges, you can see that there are three main types. There is the spot exchange. Spot essentially means you are buying cryptocurrencies at its current price. Derivatives is different. This is buying a cryptocurrency based on its future price. So with derivatives, you normally go either long or short on a cryptocurrency. Long means you are betting on the price going up at a future date, and short means you are betting on the price going down at a future date. We're not going to be touching that in this course. And then we have got DEXs. These are the decentralized exchanges that all you need to do is hold your cryptocurrency in a wallet on your web browser, and you can buy and sell directly from this wallet. So if we go into spot exchanges, this gives you an index of all the exchanges where you can buy cryptocurrencies at current market price. And you can see that they are ranked by their score. So this exchange score is arrived at by looking at the following data: web traffic and volume. So essentially what this means is that Binance, that has scored 9.9, has got a hell of a lot of traffic, the most traffic of all exchanges, and it's got the most liquidity. That means there are people constantly buying and selling on there, which means if you are looking to get the current price, you can get it instantly with Binance. And if you're looking to sell at the current price, you can get it instantly with Binance. So now I've taken you through the exchange types. I'm going to take you through fiat gateways. Now, a fiat gateway is how do you convert your normal fiat money into cryptocurrency. And the main exchanges that do this are Coinbase, Binance, Kraken, and KuCoin. So if I take you to Binance right now, this is one of the most popular websites to buy cryptocurrency with your normal money. Now, if we have a look at these spot exchanges, you can see if your fiat is supported on this list. So we can see that Binance supports 46 different fiats. So if we go back into Binance, then we go to buy crypto, and then we go to credit debit card. This is to buy crypto with your card. There's also another way, which is card deposit. So let's say you don't have an idea of what you want to buy, but you want to put some money on this exchange just in case you hear about a coin and you want to be able to buy it instantly. You can deposit some money here. Now, if you want to select which type of fiat currency, you go up to the top right. You simply type in the currency that you want to use. So you can use USD, Great British Pounds, Australian dollars. So I'm going to use, because this is my country, I'm going to use Great British Pounds. And I'm going to show you how to buy with credit or debit card. So once you go to buy with credit or debit card, you are given the following options. So here is where you decide how much do you want to spend. And here is where you decide which cryptocurrency do you want to buy. And this is only if you have an idea of what you want to buy. So let's say you wanted to buy ADA, then what you would put here is I want to spend £500 on ADA, and from that I will receive 389 ADA tokens. And the reason why is because ADA is worth £1.28. So there we are. So that would be how you buy it. Now, assuming that you have it, then what you can do is you can also sell. And that is where you can convert your cryptocurrency back into Great British pounds and therefore send it back to your bank. So this is an example of a fiat exchange. Another one, which is the one I have always used, is Coinbase. You sign up on this website and then you input your card details. Once you have done that, you have got the ability to be able to buy. So what you do is you go to trade and then buy over here. So then what you can do is you obviously have options of a fixed amount or a custom amount, and then you can decide which cryptocurrency you want to buy. Now, both Binance and Coinbase only have a certain amount of cryptocurrencies. So as you can see, there are 14,713 different cryptocurrencies. And yet, if you go to Coinbase, there are literally around about 100 cryptocurrencies. Now, Binance has a lot more because Binance is an actual exchange, whereas Coinbase is more a fiat gateway. So let's say you want to buy some Solana, very, very simple. You simply put how much you want to buy, and you can decide whether you want to buy it or not, and it will give you a fee. That fee is typically 1.8 to 2.5%. So that is a fiat gateway. That is how you convert your normal money into cryptocurrency. If you go on most exchanges, which I'm going to cover next, you can only
Okay.
buy with other
तो मैं
cryptocurrencies.
अब आपको सारे के सारे प्रेडिक्शंस दे देती हूँ, ठीक है?
So you need a fiat gateway first.
अभी हम आपको कौन-कौन से प्रेडिक्शन चाहिए थे बीएस राजपूत सर? आपको डिपॉजिट करना होगा, आपको प्रेडिक्शंस मिल जाएंगे, ओके? डिपॉजिट कर दीजिए। ठीक है, तो सबसे पहले मैं बिटकॉइन का बताऊंगी आपको। पता नहीं है कैसे जा रहा है। दिख ही नहीं रहा है मुझको। या ठीक है, तो अभी जो हम देख सकते हैं कि रुकिए। ठीक है, तो अभी आप देख सकते हो कि कैंडल स्टिक पैटर्न अभी कितनी चल रही है नीचे की साइड पे, राइट? तो अभी जब ये नीचे नीचे जा रहा है तो व्हाट वी कैन सजेस्ट इज दैट कि ये ऑलरेडी ऑन अ लोअर हाई पे है, that it's not increasing, not decreasing. So I think it's on a base level. So now Bitcoin has been on a declining side. It is better if you could sell it. For those who have purchased it, please sell this Bitcoin. जिन्होंने बिटकॉइन परचेज किया वो सेल कर सकते हैं। रेस्ट ऑफ द पीपल इफ यू रियली वांट टू, क्या बोलते हैं, अगर आपको ये कंटिन्यू करना है तो आप प्लीज इसे देखें एंड एनालाइज करें और अभी बाय मत कीजिए, बिकॉज अगर आपको बाय करेंगे तो आपको लॉस होगा या और नीचे जा सकता है। लास्ट और 64, अभी ये 63 पे ही जा रहा है। सो यू हैव टू वेट फॉर इट टू ग्रो, क्योंकि ये इतना बड़ा नहीं हुआ है, ठीक है? तो ये थोड़े थोड़े सेगमेंट पे जाएगा, बट मोस्टली वी कैन से दैट डिक्लाइनिंग पोजीशन पे ज़्यादा रहेगा। तो बिटकॉइन के लिए आप सेल कर सकते हैं, ठीक है? ये बहुत सेम लेवल पे चल रहा है, बहुत बहुत स्ट्रेट है, ये देखिए। तो आप सेल कर सकते हैं बिटकॉइन, ठीक है? बिटकॉइन को आप सेल कर सकते हैं। लास्ट है तो ये गया है यहाँ पे समथिंग, सॉरी, लास्ट है तो ये यहाँ पे गया है 64 पे। अभी कहाँ है? बहुत कम है, एक $100 से गिरना कुछ भी फॉल नहीं होता। तो आई थिंक अभी बिटकॉइन बहुत स्लो है, तो अभी आप इसे बाय ना करें तो अच्छा होगा, क्योंकि अभी सेलिंग का टाइम है। तो आप लोगों को गेन होगा अगर आपने बाय इतने में किया होगा, आई थिंक सो। बट आई डोंट थिंक सो, इट्स अ वेरी नॉर्मल, राइट, ये थोड़ा स्ट्रेट लेवल पे ही चल रहा है, इतना कुछ इसमें दिखाई नहीं दे रहा है, तो यू कैन सेल इट ऑफ। ठीक है, यू कैन सेल इट ऑफ। ये बाय होने में काफी टाइम लगेगा, इसको रेजिस्टेंस आने में बहुत टाइम लगेगा, तो यू कैन सेल इट ऑफ। नेक्स्ट वी हैव इथेरियम। ओके, वी हैव इथेरियम। इथेरियम का, इथेरियम भी बाय हो सकता है। इथेरियम का ज्यादा मुझे लोअर नहीं दिख रहा साइड। इथेरियम को आप बाय कर सकते हैं, पर बिटकॉइन को बाय करने का कोई फायदा नहीं है। इथेरियम आप बाय कर सकते हैं बिना कोई टेंशन के। ठीक है, इथेरियम को बाय कर सकते हैं बिना कोई टेंशन के। ठीक है, एनी अदर क्वेरीज? Now, when it comes to Ethereum, guys, please buy Ethereum and do not buy Bitcoin, but you can buy Ethereum. Okay, it is good and well reserved for you. Now, second important thing is that after, like, we will be discussing about Solana. I know many people have deposited Solana, तो Solana का मैं सोच रही हूँ सेंड हुआ सोलाना। आप सोलाना का क्या चल रहा है? मुझे इसमें समझ नहीं आता, बार में मैं कैन इसमें जाऊंगी लाइन में। सोलाना का अभी मुझे लगता है ट्रेंड ऊपर जा सकता है। सोलाना का ब्रेक इवन यहाँ पे हो चुका है ऑलरेडी। सोलाना ऊपर जा रहा है, तो गाइज यू कैन बाय सोलाना। ओके, यू कैन बाय सोलाना क्योंकि सोलाना ऊपर जा रहा है। ठीक है, बाकियों का मैं नहीं बता सकती हूँ, वो नीचे जा सकते हैं, बट सोलाना विड गो अप साइड। तो सोलाना बाय कर लीजिए, बताती हूँ। बाय इथेरियम, बाय सोलाना, सेल बीटीसी। ठीक है, दिस इज गोइंग टू बी द प्रिडिक्शन। नाउ वी विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट US 100। US 100 का मैंने आपको पहले ही बताया कि एक बड़ा सा मार्जिन यहाँ पे ऑलरेडी आ चुका है, यहाँ से यहाँ तक का। करेक्ट, अभी ये ऊपर जा रहा है। आई थिंक BS राजपूत सर आपने पूछा था ना, इसका नीचे कम जा रहा है। हाँ राइट, BS राजपूत सर आपने पूछा था ना US 100 का, तो US 100 का ये ऊपर जा रहा है, तो आप इसे बाय करें। इसको और बढ़ने दे फिर सेल करना, अभी मत सेल करना क्योंकि ये इसके अब बढ़ने के चांसेस ज़्यादा है। ठीक है, तो प्लीज़ मेक श्योर कि आप इसे बाय करते रहे, आप इसे सेल ना करें। ठीक है, ओके। कोई डिपॉजिट करना चाहता है तो डिपॉजिट बैनर पे क्लिक करके आप डिपॉजिट कर सकते हैं। ठीक है, जो डिपॉजिट करेगा उसको मिलेगा कैशबैक कूपन्स। I hope you got this, okay? Yes, you can sell. You can buy Solana, it's a sure signal. And BS Radpur sir, आप भी इसे मत sell करना because US dollar is going to, it's going on upward side. So please guys don't sell it right now. Let it go more upwards and then you can come with a question to sell it. But right now it is not going to be worth it if you sell it. Okay? So आप इसे बढ़ने दीजिए. ठीक है? ठीक है? Any question? Any other questions? आपको पूछना है कुछ? Okay, sir, if you really don't trust my signal, then it's fine. But I really think that it's accurate and I have undergone the analysis and then what I'm saying to you. Okay, but if you don't trust me, then it's okay, it's fine. It's not a compulsion that you have to follow my signals, okay? It's not a compulsion.
First, in order to be able to convert your normal money into cryptocurrency. Then we have got centralized exchanges, and this include, again, Coinbase, Binance, and there's another two, Gate and FTX. FTX mainly serves the Solana blockchain. So if you are looking to buy Solana-based assets, you are able to buy them on FTX typically before you're able to buy them on Coinbase, Binance, or Gate. So a centralized exchange is a third-party website. That means if you buy crypto here, you will typically store it in the native wallet that they have got on the website. And very similar with Coinbase. If you buy it on Coinbase, it is stored in your assets folder. And it basically means they are custodians of your cryptocurrency. So let me just show you what the exchange interface looks like. I've taken you through how to buy cryptocurrencies with fiat. Now we are going to operate on an assumption that you are going to buy cryptocurrencies with other cryptocurrencies. So what you have got at the top, like with CoinMarketCap, is you've got some highlights. What is the biggest gainer on Binance, the biggest loser, what has got the top volume, and what is the coin they are highlighting in particular. Now, if you go further down, you have got all of the different spot markets. So these are all the cryptocurrencies you can buy with BUSD. So you've got Ethereum, Bitcoin, Sandbox, Decentraland, Shiba, etc. These are what you can buy with Tether. This is what you can buy with BNB. This is what you can buy with Bitcoin. So if you bought Bitcoin either on Binance or on Coinbase, send it over to Binance to be able to trade. You can use your Bitcoin to buy all of these different currencies. Then you've just got alt cryptocurrencies. This is various. So BNB for ETH, BTT for TRX. So this is what you would typically use to just search a cryptocurrency. So let's say you want to buy Solana. So what it's showing you here is you can buy Solana with Ethereum. Fiats is what I've taken you through already. It's where you can do the direct buying of cryptos with fiat, and as you can see, you've got Solana and GBP here. And this is if you have gone to buy crypto, card deposit, and then you can use that GBP to buy this Solana with. I have got on this website, I have actually got some ADA. So if I just go and show you how that would look, when you are looking to buy a cryptocurrency, this is exactly how it looks. There is so much, and I know this could probably confuse you. So what you've got at the top is firstly, what is the ADA price? And what you've got up here, these are all the sell orders. Give you an example here. Somebody or a group of people are trying to sell ADA at $1.694. All right, so that is $112,000 worth of ADA at that price level. All right. And so what you've got here is you have got basically the price either eating up the sells or eating up the buys. And what you've got in the center is the chart. So this chart shows you the price action of ADA over the course of the last 24 hours. You can also do last 4 hours, last 1 hour, last 15 minutes, last week, etc. Now with this, you can actually do some technical analysis, but I won't show you that right now. And then what you've got down here is the buying and selling interface. So as you can see, I've got $692 right here, and I've got 230,000 ADA. So if I want to sell my ADA, then I could literally just sell 100%, and that would give me 391,000 USDT if I wanted to sell my ADA. If I wanted to buy ADA with the USDT that I have got in here right now, then I could do so. So I could either put in a certain amount, or I could just use this bar along the bottom. So just for the sake of argument, I'm going to use the bar. Let's say I wanted to buy 100 ADA, that would cost me $173. I would put buy ADA, and then that would go into the open orders. Then once it hits $1.70 right here, then it will buy up the ADA for me. So why I'm showing you Gate.io is because Gate.io is actually where you can buy most new cryptocurrencies. On Binance and Coinbase, the reason these two are the most used exchanges is because they are the most reputable. That means they will only list high quality. However, newer cryptocurrencies will not get on Binance or Coinbase. If you want to get your hands on newer cryptocurrencies, you will find most of them are actually available on Gate.io. Gate.io is one of the few centralized exchanges that takes on new coins, whereas Binance and Coinbase have more of a reputation to uphold. If they list one rubbish coin, it can ruin their reputation. And then a type of exchange that has only recently become popular, decentralized exchanges. Now, decentralized exchanges means you hold your cryptocurrency in a wallet on your web browser. That means you are the custodian of it. And then what you do is you go to the decentralized exchange and you interact with the website, but you still are the custodian of your money. And the different decentralized exchanges out there are Uniswap, and Uniswap are for Ethereum-based cryptocurrencies, PancakeSwap, which is for Binance Smart Chain based cryptocurrencies, and Radium, which is for Solana based cryptocurrencies. So this is Uniswap. So Uniswap, as I said, is for Ethereum based assets. So just to give you an example, there is a cryptocurrency called Valhalla. Now, Valhalla was created as a Binance Smart Chain cryptocurrency, and you can see that by the contract address. This means that how this cryptocurrency was created was via Binance Smart Chain's minting process. So this cryptocurrency is only available on Binance Smart Chain. It's also available on another blockchain called Velas. So you would not be able to trade this cryptocurrency on Uniswap because Uniswap is only for Ethereum based assets. So if I give you another example, Convergence. Convergence is a Ethereum based asset, okay, and you can see that under contracts, okay, so it will say Ethereum. This is where it was created. So you can invest in Convergence via Uniswap. So let me just show you how you do that. So what you would need to do first of all is you would need to get MetaMask. So what you do is you download MetaMask. You can download it to your phone and or to your web browser. Now I have both. Right, and now you have to download it as a Chrome extension, and that means that it sits up here waiting to connect with a website it can connect to. So in this case, Uniswap. So what you'll need to do is you will need to buy cryptocurrencies with your fiat on an exchange like Coinbase. And what you would do is you would buy Ethereum, all right, and then you would send that Ethereum over to your MetaMask, okay? Because when you create a MetaMask wallet, you will have nothing in it. So what you need to do first of all is you are going to need to buy Ethereum on Coinbase, and you are then going to need to send it. And how you do that is via Pay. And then it will have this send box here. And this send box allows you to put in your MetaMask address. So when you create your MetaMask wallet, it's going to give you an address right here. This is your public key. So you copy it and you would put it here. So just to use it as an example, you put Ethereum there, you would put your wallet there. You would have to have already bought it in order to send it. I haven't actually got any Ethereum on Coinbase, so I can't show you that. But you would buy it, you would go to Pay, Send, and then you would put your MetaMask address in this to field here. And then once you send it over, it may take 15 minutes, but then you will get Ethereum into your wallet. And then once you've got Ethereum in your wallet, you go back to Uniswap, and now you can trade on decentralized exchanges. So let's assume I wanted to buy Convergence, which is what I just showed you here. What I would do is I would copy the address here. So this allows you to go to the source of the cryptocurrency. So if you copy address, and then you go back to Uniswap, you go to select a token, it will say search name or paste address. You could type in Convergence. This is Convergence via CoinGecko. You could probably trust that, but to make sure you are putting in the correct one, I always copy the address from CoinMarketCap, I import it, and now I could use my Ethereum to buy Convergence. I've got 0.33 Ethereum on here. So let's assume I just want to buy 0.1 of an Ethereum in Convergence. So that would be $429, and that would allow me to get 14,000 tokens. And then all I do is press swap, and then the transaction will go through and I will own Convergence. Now, let me take you to PancakeSwap. So again, you need to connect your wallet. So in MetaMask, what you'll need to do is you'll need to set up Binance Smart Chain on your MetaMask wallet. So MetaMask is not just Ethereum wallet, MetaMask allows you to create multiple networks on this wallet. So you can buy cryptocurrencies amongst various different blockchains, but you have to set it up first. So I'm just going to show you quickly. I'm going to change it to Binance Smart Chain, and this is going to show you how much Binance coin I have, which is 1.09 of a Binance coin. So what I would do is I would connect my wallet, and it's the exact same process as with Uniswap. So if I wanted to buy Valhalla, I would copy the Binance Smart Chain address. I would go back to PancakeSwap. I would go here and it will say search name or paste address. I would do that and there we are. It will have Scar or Valhalla there, and then you just import it and then you can buy it. Obviously I've got BNB, so what I would do is I would use my BNB. So let's assume I want to buy 0.5 of a BNB in Valhalla. I would be able to get 1,565 tokens, and then it will say here buy, and then that will allow you to have it. And once you have it, it will then be in your wallet. But what you'll need to do is you will need to import the tokens, because they won't just show up. You need to then put the token address and then add custom token, and then your balance of what you've just bought in Valhalla tokens will appear in your MetaMask. So you've got to do that manually each time. And Radium is very similar to Uniswap and PancakeSwap. Radium is a decentralized exchange for Solana-based tokens. And then the last type of place where you can buy cryptocurrency is on online payment services such as PayPal or Revolut. So I'm in my PayPal account now. Now this is not available in every country.
This is all related to your investment journey. And now I can see that, okay, रीम मैम ने आपको गिफ्ट कूपन बीडीसी कॉइन सब भेज दिया है. थैंक यू रीम मैम फॉर दैट. ठीक है. तो गाइस अभी हमारा ये सेशन भी ऑलमोस्ट वी आर लाइक कंप्लीटिंग दिस नाउ. एक चीज़ मुझे कि मैं आपको सबसे इम्पॉर्टेंट चीज़ बता दूं, फिर हम इसके बारे में डिस्कस कर लेंगे, जो कि है व्हाट इज़ द आइडियल टाइम टू बाय एंड एग्जिट द क्रिप्टो करेंसी. What is the ideal time to buy and exit the cryptocurrency? Because any time is not right for buying and for selling. So for that, what the approach is to be and how you can manage that, हमें यहाँ पे click करके देखते हैं. And if you want to please like you can start doing a deposit. ठीक है, आप डिपॉजिट कर सकते हैं. आपको स्कैनर दिया है, बैनर दिया है, आप प्लीज़ उस पर क्लिक करें और डिपॉजिट करें. आपका अकाउंट हमारे BtcDana के साथ ओपन करें. ठीक है, आपको बेनिफिट्स मिलेंगे, ट्रेड रिलेटेड असिस्टेंस मिलेंगे, BTC कॉइन्स, गिफ्ट कूपन, सब कुछ मिलेगा. ओके, लेट्स स्टार्ट विद दिस.
Are going to go up
What is the best time to buy the cryptocurrency and what is the best time to sell?
on the whole, and when they're going to go down on the whole. This is something that you learn with experience, but I'm going to fast forward your learning because a lot of people that are going to be entering cryptocurrency over the months, years, decades are not going to know this and are never going to know this. But essentially, bull and bear markets, essentially when the market goes up or when the market goes down, follow cycles. So they last anything from 18 months to 2 years. For a bull market, you want to be getting into that cycle early or as early as possible. In 2020, the bull market cycle has really just started. At the tail end of 2020, having been in a near 2-year bear market cycle. So this is the beginning. If you're watching me right now at the end of 2020, then this is potentially the beginning of a 2-year bull market cycle. Now, what tends to be the indicator to whether you're at the top or the bottom of the cycle is euphoria or despair. Okay, euphoria tends to be the top of the bull market, the absolute extreme, where it hits a crescendo. And then despair is an indicator of the bottom of the bear market. Okay, so ideally you want to enter in when there's despair and you want to be selling when there's euphoria. That is basically what you need to know. But I'm going to be showing you evidence of how long these markets last and how you can really ride an enormous wave if you time your entry in perfectly. Bull markets tend to be accelerated by the media and new investors. The media will typically produce positive stories about cryptocurrency, a particular cryptocurrency, or Bitcoin, and then new investors.
You can see that bull and bear market cycles are different. Like bull and bear market cycles follow a different type of scenarios. Like bullish market is for the buying part and bearish is for the selling. Last from 18 months to 2 years, euphoria and it disappear indicate टॉप एंड बॉटम. यू हैव टू रिप्रेजेंट. आपको टॉप और बॉटम के बीच में फर्क पता होना चाहिए कि जब कैंडलस्टिक पैटर्न नीचे आ रही है तो किस लेवल पे आ रही है, कौन से बॉटम पे टच कर रही है, एंड व्हेन द टॉप के ऊपर आता है तो कौन से लेवल पे ऊपर जा रहा है. बुल मार्केट एक्सेलरेटेड बाय मीडिया एंड न्यू इन्वेंशन. तो मीडिया के ऊपर आपको ध्यान देना होता है. यू हैव टू कीप योर फोकस ऑन द न्यूज चैनल्स ऑफ द न्यूज वेबसाइट दैट रिप्रेजेंट्स द क्रिप्टो मार्केट इनसाइट्स एंड दैट टेल यू what is the right prediction for you to buy and for you to sell. So it depends totally upon your conviction and your understanding about the candlestick pattern and the patterns that has been followed during the trading view chart. So you have to understand कि क्या चल रहा है मार्केट में, एंड उसके बाद you have to take a decision whether the scenario represents a bullish or bearish market. So these are the two things that you must go through. You have to analyze, you have to make prediction, and तब आप buy and sell करें.
Suddenly come rushing in, and you will see that this can lead to a gargantuan impact on cryptocurrencies. And then bear markets are accelerated by fear from both outlets, both from the media and new investors. Typically, new investors buy at the top because the media in the euphoria stage tends to all happen in a very short space of time at the end of a bull market cycle. And then people buy at the top, new investors buy at the top, they buy Bitcoin at an all-time high, and then what happens is that the price plummets and people sell, and incrementally all those, not all of the new investors, but most new investors, other than the ones that really stick with cryptocurrency, will sell their cryptocurrency at a loss over time. And the media will start producing negative stories. They'll say Bitcoin's going to die, or cryptocurrencies are going to die, or blockchain's going to die. So this is what a market cycle looks like with annotation. Along the side, you've got valuation, and along the bottom, you've got time. So what happens is that the smart money get in at the bottom. They get in when there is despair. All right, so what happens is they get involved in the cryptocurrency once it's had all of the negativity flushed out. They get involved, and then initially the cryptocurrency prices begin to take off. Then there's a sell-off because people can't believe the prices are going up, 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 and so they are trapped. That's what's called a bear trap. The people who are bearish, they get trapped, they sell off, and what happens is then the prices begin to soar even more. The price
Bearish and bullish में क्या फर्क होता है? When bear trap the first sell off, then the media attention, then enthusiasm, then again the greed started, then the delusion of getting more of money, and then the new paradigm has started, then the denial, then return, then fear. It's called a bull trap. Then you have to be that these are all started with the one emotion, that is greed. Then the delusion that you will get a lot of money, you will going to invest it, and you will going to get a lot of profits as a return. Then the paradigm had started as a equilibrium level, और वो upside trend करता है. Then it comes to a denial that you don't think so, that the delusion actually works. So that represents कि आपका जो growth है वो नीचे जा रहा है. Then you have to make a return. फिर bull trap और फिर fear और capitalization, और ऐसे हिसाब से you get end of it, right? Yeah.
exceeds the first sell-off value, and it just continues to go up. And once it reaches a new all-time high, there is media attention. The media attention builds enthusiasm. This is when the public get in. Okay, they get in at the tail end. A lot of the value has been realized, and so they get in. There's greed, there's delusion. People think this is the next big thing. It's taking off. I'm going to be a millionaire or a billionaire. After they think this is a new paradigm shift, the price goes down. There's denial at first. They're like, the price is going to go up. It's going to go back up. There's nothing to see here. Everybody calm down. And so there's denial. Then there's a bull trap, the opposite of a bear trap. This is where the people who are bullish are trapped. They keep holding onto their cryptocurrencies. There's a return back to normality. They're like, yes, told you, I told you the prices were going to go back up. And then bang, there's massive fear. And then capitulation. This essentially means people start to sell off. There's massive sell-offs. And that sell-off makes the cryptocurrency almost go down to its previous price, where there's so much despair and everybody hates cryptocurrency at that point. All the people that got in, the public that got in at the top right here, they are going to be the first to capitulate all the way down to the bottom, and then eventually it returns back to the bull market. So this is a bull market, this is a bear market. And although it makes it look like a bull market lasts much longer than a bear market, actually it's around about the same amount of time, 18 months to 2 years. What I'm going to show you here is essentially how these bull and bear market cycles have played out in the past. So if we go all the way back to 2012, this is the price of Bitcoin, okay? So the price of Bitcoin at this point was about $4.91. Unbelievable to think Bitcoin was ever that price. Now it's 18,500 today, but $4.91 per Bitcoin. And what happened is over this 18-month period, it went from $4 to about $1,100. Okay, an incredible rise in 18 months, $4 to $1,100, and then bang, bear market, took it down from $1,100 all the way down to the 200s, right down to the 206 it hit at a low. And then a bull market came. There was a takeoff, and then bang, look, it was going up to 400, then 600, and then it went up all the way over an 18-month to 2-year period to $20,000 at its absolute high in December 2017. Massive euphoria, huge media attention, and then bang, the fall from grace occurred. It was very instant, actually. Literally a month after it hit its all-time high, then it went down to 6,000. It lost 3/4 of its value. And then over the course of nearly 2 years, the prices just continued to go down, hitting a low at the tail end of 2018 of $3,100. I remember it well. The fall from grace was enormous, of 20,000 all the way down to low 3,000s. Then the prices started going up and down, and then the end, the despair was at the beginning of 2020. $5,100. Okay, it wasn't the absolute bottom, but that was the indicator for the smart money to come in. And since then, Bitcoin has been on a tear, but literally only the last kind of 6 months. Okay, it has gone from $5,000 to now the high 18,000s. But this is the beginning. This is the beginning. Look, this is what we have got over the next 18 months to 2 years. No one knows how high this could be. Remember, we went from $4 to $1,000. Then we went from $200 to $20,000. And now we've gone from $5,000 to...
This guy is actually sharing you the information about the brew new coin liquid index for Bitcoin. तो Bitcoin कैसे ऊपर गया, कितने साल ऊपर गया, कैसे नीचे आया, how you can define the patterns upon कि इतने सालों में what has been changed for the crypto, what has been changed for the Bitcoin. He is actually telling you that. तो मार्केट ओपन होता है, मार्केट के कितने रेंजेस होते हैं, कितने प्राइजेस होते हैं, 5,000, 50,000, 10,000, $1 lakh. The Bitcoin over the period of time has been increased or increasing. Okay. So now he is actually representing the pattern, the graph for you to understand. You have to compare the whole history of the crypto when you start trading and when you enter the market as a trader. So you should always analyze the market like him. He is actually representing which side of the cryptocurrency is on a lower side, which side of the currency is on a higher side. So he's comparing both of the indexes, right? He's actually comparing both of the sides. So now when it comes to the lower pattern, जहाँ पे बहुत ज़्यादा decline you can see, he represents what you have to do when it comes to a lower side angle. तो लोअर साइड में क्या होता है, जब नीचे जा रहा है तो ये कौन से साल में सबसे ज़्यादा नीचे गया था, कौन से साल में सबसे ज़्यादा ऊपर जा रहा था. तो ये हमको डिपेंड करता है कि हमारी कितनी अंडरस्टैंडिंग है और हमारा प्रिडिक्शन लेवल क्या है. इफ़ यू एनालाइज ब्रीफली over the past year about the pattern of the crypto, then you can understand the same pattern is repeating or not, whether the same pattern is like upcoming or not. Based on that, you can predict it for the last, like this year, that's going to be only 5 months remaining. So you can understand whether it's a right time for a longer term investment, whether it's a right time for a shorter term investment, whether you should do with the swing trading or intra trading, and everything related to it. So it depends upon your psychological interest about comparing the graphs to the previous year. You can make a decision, you can form a decision based on your interest and your capitals, because without capital you cannot invest only. So you have to plan accordingly which month is the best suitable time for me to like invest in the market, or which month is for me to be yet stable and me to hold the cryptocurrency for this particular period. That is going to be the 1 month, that is going to be the 1 week, so it depends upon that. So आपको ये एनालाइज करते रहना चाहिए, right? So now we will be completing this. उसके बाद if you have any question please ask me. 20 minutes remaining.
Who knows? 50,000, 100,000? It all depends on how big cryptocurrency is blown up. Now, recently, the biggest news in cryptocurrency, and it tends to be with an event which is quite huge that kicks off the market, is this PayPal. This was kind of universal acceptance that a huge payment processing company has allowed people to buy cryptocurrency on their platform. You can buy Bitcoin and cryptocurrency at this time of recording in the US. It's going to be coming into international markets over the coming 6 months. So this is the first step. PayPal allows Bitcoin and cryptocurrency spending, and they have opened that service up. So it was initially announced in October, and then they opened it out to US accounts in November 2020. And so over 2021, this is going to be opened up to the UK and other international markets where PayPal has customers. So this is kind of the beginning of the bull market. It's still early stages bull market, but what you can deduce is that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency does follow cycles, and each time it leads to a violent upswing. It leads to a dramatic fall ultimately, but if you get in at the right time, you could be riding a huge wave in cryptocurrency. But make sure you look out for the euphoria stage. Euphoria stage tends to be, and this is a rule that's true not only in Bitcoin but other cryptocurrencies as well. When there's a euphoria stage, when everybody is jumping on it, that's nearly the time to sell it. How do you know when to spot euphoria stage and despair stage? In euphoria stage, that is the time when you want to be selling. In despair stage, that is the time when you want to be buying. So there is a chart where you have the information so that you are able to make timely decisions based on the sentiment of the cryptocurrency market as it stands. So this is glassnode.com. This shows you tons of metrics when it comes to what is happening, particularly with Bitcoin and Ethereum. It doesn't concentrate so much on the altcoins, but given that Bitcoin is essentially the barometer of the market, it's very important to kind of know where Bitcoin is at as far as sentiment is concerned. And Glassnode gives you that information. Now, you can get a basic free account on Glassnode, and that will show you the sentiment of the market up to about a month before the present date. Now, I have got a premium account. That means I get all the information up to around 24 hours before the current time. Okay, so just to show you here what we're seeing, this is Bitcoin net unrealized profit loss, right? What this means is essentially based on the current market of Bitcoin hodlers, what percentage profit are they in their wallet? All right, so the more that the market is in profit, the closer we are to euphoria stage. That means every.
So what is a euphoria state? If euphoria state represent जब market में काफी लोगों को profit हो रहा है, तो it depends upon the euphoria state. तो euphoria state तब होता है जब many people are in a bullish market. तो bullish scenario में सबसे ज्यादा लोग buy करते रहते हैं. Buy करने की वजह से क्या होता है? जब buy कर रहे तो euphoria state आ जाता है जहाँ पे आपको ये चीजें मिल जाती है. ठीक है?
That's buying is
Now we will be like only for after 5 minutes मैं गाने play कर दूंगी because गाने कल play नहीं किए थे, ठीक है?
In profit pretty much. And in despair, it means pretty much everybody is at a loss. So you can see that indicated by the colours here. All right, so we've got a key right here. So this pinky red indicates capitulation or despair. This more dull red indicates hope and fear. Brown is optimism and anxiety. Green is belief or denial. So belief is before euphoria stage, and green after blue is denial. All right, so it means that people are in denial that the prices are going to go down continuously and they're going to go back up. And euphoria is indicated by this purpley blue line. Euphoria and greed. Okay, so let's see it extrapolated onto the Bitcoin price. So what you've got here is the grey line. This is the Bitcoin price as it currently stands. And over on top of it is the net profit or loss of the entire market's wallets. Okay, so when the market goes into blue, it is the biggest risk that is the top of the bull market. Now, if we just go back and have a look, over 2010 stroke beginning of 2011, the market went into euphoria twice. And it wasn't until summer 2011 that was the actual peak of the bull market. And from that point, literally, it went into massive loss. Okay, so people were in huge profit here. If you'd have sold here, you'd have essentially missed the massive dip that then came. You can see it in the price reflected here. The price was at its absolute highest here, and then it went to its absolute lowest here. So you would have been able to sell at a massive profit, and then you would have been able to buy down here when everybody was in massive loss. That is pretty much the bottom. Now, you can't time it 100%, but the best thing to do is buy when the sentiment is in capitulation. All right. So the next bull market, the end of the next bull market was here at the end of December 2013. Okay, so in the blue line. So that was the top. $1,134 was the price of Bitcoin. And then from that point, bang, it went right down. So selling, again, in the blue would have made you in an advantageous position versus everybody else playing cryptocurrency in the market. And then buying back down here at the massive dip. So you would have been able to get Bitcoin at $199 after it had reached $1,100. And if you'd have bought in despair stage anywhere around here, the price was hovering around about $200 in the main. Then you would have been able to buy it, and then you would have made a 100x when the price of Bitcoin went to $20,000. Okay, so if you had bought it at about $190, $200, then it would have 100x'd when it got to the 20,000. And again, if you'd have sold at the blue, you would have missed the massive dip that happened. Now, you're probably asking, well, why didn't you do that? Like, referring to me. Well, because these charts didn't exist back then. The great thing about cryptocurrency is because the space is so underdeveloped, the information and graphs and analysis comes with time and it comes with data. So now we have got all of the data of previous market cycles and price action that we were able to see what happened retrospectively, but allows us to make an informed decision in the future. So currently where we are at, so if I take a more zoomed in view, currently where we are at is we are in belief stage because we have not yet entered euphoria. When the sentiment is in green after euphoria stage, then it becomes denial. All right. So anyway, so we're currently still in belief stage. We have not hit euphoria yet. Now, what is indicated to get into euphoria? That is when 75% of the entire market is in profit. Right, that is euphoria stage. You can see 0.75 is that where this dotted line is. Now, very recently, when the price of Bitcoin went to $57,400, we were just 0.2 off of 75%. So we didn't quite hit euphoria stage. And then the price went down of the Bitcoin price, and therefore the sentiment cooled right down. The price went down from 57,000 all the way down to about 45,000, and it brought the sentiment from 74.8% all the way down to 66%, even though we're at $45,000. So now it gives way more room to the upside for the Bitcoin price to hit higher prices in order to achieve euphoria. So at this point, we were just 0.2 off euphoria stage of 57,000. Now that the sentiment has cooled right down, if we were to get to 57,000 again, then it's likely that would be around about this point here. So that means there's way more room on the upside to get into euphoria stage. So probably around about $80,000 to $100,000 Bitcoin price to get into euphoria stage now. Okay, and that will be nearly the time to sell. So if we just go back, let's see how long euphoria stage has lasted before. So in the bull market of 2011, there were 3 times that euphoria was hit before the market went down. Okay, so that started on around about November 2010, and then we hit euphoria stage 3 times, and then it kind of ended in June 2012. So this whole euphoria stage, if we look at all 3 in combination, that euphoria stage basically lasted 6 months, okay, before it actually ultimately went down. Now, if you'd have sold at the first euphoria stage, the price was only kind of 34 cents when it hit that first euphoria stage. So that wasn't necessarily the best time to sell, right? If you'd have sold at this one, it was $1.08. And then if you'd have sold at this one, it was $29. So if you'd have sold at the first euphoria stage, it would have been 34 cents. So you would have missed out nearly 100x profit there. It was quite a long euphoria stage back in 2017. So if we just have a look at 2013, there were 2 euphoria stages in 2013. All right, so there was one in April 2013, and then there was another one in November 2013. All right, so again, about 6 months was the euphoria stage there. Now, the difference came, so there were 3 here and 2 in 2013. And then in 2017, there was 1, right? So from 3 to 2 to 1. So basically, it's shortened every time. Now, euphoria stage back here started around about beginning of December and ended around about mid-December. So although we had kind of 6 months here and 6 months in 2013, it was literally the space of 2 weeks in 2017. So data is kind of showing us that A, you shouldn't sell right at the beginning of euphoria stage, but you should probably sell towards the end of euphoria stage. And given that over time, the euphoria stages has reduced, then it's very likely that this time we'll just get 1 again. And it could be even shorter than 2 weeks. It could literally be just 1 week of euphoria stage and then bang, the market will go down. But the most important thing to consider here is that if you'd have bought in despair stage at $3,000, or as close to it as possible, you know, 4,000,
आपको री मैम ने ऑलरेडी शेयर कर दिया है, तो आई वुड सजेस्ट कि अभी हमारे पास सिर्फ 5 मिनट्स है। यस राजपूत सर, अभी मेरा नेक्स्ट जो है वो लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग वो नेक्स्ट वीक होगी गाइस। नेक्स्ट वीक जो मेरी लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग वो मेरी लास्ट लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग होगी। तो आप लोगों से मैं लाइक रिक्वेस्ट और इनवाइट करती हूँ आप लोगों को कि आप प्लीज़ वो मेरी लास्ट लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग में आए। आई विल टाइप इट फॉर यू। भी क्वेरीज है लास्ट में जाते जाते प्लीज मुझसे पूछ लीजिए। आप डिपॉजिट करें और ग्रुप पे ज्वाइन हो जाए, ठीक है। ग्रुप पे ज्वाइन हो जाएंगे तो आपकी जितनी भी क्वेरीज है मैं जाते जाते आपकी क्वेरीज को कंप्लीट कर पाऊंगी, राइट। तो दिस गोइंग टू बी माय लास्ट, नेक्स्ट लाइव इज गोइंग टू बी द लास्ट लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग। ओके बी एस राजपूत सर, एनी क्वेश्चन? ठीक है, एनी क्वेश्चंस? वी हैव 5 minutes टू गो। कुछ पूछ, आई एम रेडी फॉर योर आंसर्स। आई नो माय नेट इज नॉट स्टेबल हियर। Sir, Daniel, sir, you have to report to the customer support for this. You have made a payment, but you haven't received in your BTC account. You have to raise an issue and talk to the customer support. They're going to help you regarding that. I'm not aware about this situation. I'm just a host, but for that you please have to refer to the customer support. Okay. Come on, ask me any questions if you have any. Yes, Rajput sir, I'm leaving this organization. मेरा ये organization end हो रही हो. I'm leaving this company. So it's going to be the last live streaming on Saturday and Sunday. The next Saturday, Sunday, or going to be the last live streaming because this is the I'm leaving this company. Okay. तो इसके लिए मेरा ये last live stream होगा next Saturday and Sunday. तो आप लोग सब आए, पुराने भी आए प्लीज़, एंड वी विल बी हैविंग अ गुड सेशन। उस समय हम ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा जो है वो एंटरटेनमेंट करेंगे आपका, क्योंकि लास्ट है तो मैं ज़्यादा आपको ओवरलोड नहीं करूँगी, तो इसलिए आप ज़रूर आएँ लाइव स्ट्रीमिंग में। डू अटेंड द लास्ट लाइव, ओके? थैंक यू डैनियल सर। It's been a pleasure for of all of you that you have been with me since long time. And this is my 102 session that I am completing with this company. And I really want to say that you guys have supported me a lot when it comes to a deposit, when it comes to asking a question and being interactive. Other than that, there are few drawbacks that I don't want to discuss right now. But as I want to take all the good and positive points with me, I just want to say that thank you all of you who have been with me since the day one. They have been attentive users, they have been active participant. So guys, you have to make sure ki you would definitely attend the live streaming, and all of you please keep on trading. Be patient, don't get nervous, and please use your mind when it comes to like opening your account and when it comes to deposits and everything. Okay, please use your mind and be precautious, be safe and be secure regarding your cryptocurrencies and regarding your money. Okay, and that's all I can say to you. Now, after 2 minutes, we will be ending the session. So, BS Rajput sir, आपको $US का, BTC का, सोलाना सब कुछ आपको बता दिया है। तो अगर आपको डिपॉजिट करना है, आप डिपॉजिट करें गाइस एंड अपना अकाउंट ओपन करें। ट्रीट फॉर दिस कंपनी, ठीक है। Any other questions? Okay, so we will be ending the live streaming now. Thank you so much all for joining. Have a happy Sunday and happy weekend. Please do attend the live streaming on the last live streaming on next Saturday and Sunday, okay? Meanwhile, take care. Take care. Bye bye. Happy trading.